inundated with posts from South Africans expressing growing frustrations over government's perceived failure to curb illegal immigration. Some have blamed undocumented migrants for the high levels of crime, unemployment, and the spread of drugs. As a result of the demonstration, the Ghana High Commission is now processing applications by some of those who say they want to return home. One 58-year-old man says he has lived in South Africa for more than 20 years. He says he initially entered the country on a tourist visa before later obtaining asylum documentation following what he described as a family dispute in Ghana. When asked whether he had abused South Africa's asylum system, he blamed the Department of Home Affairs.
Why didn't they tell me, okay, we can offer you a permit? And they offered me a permit. So it's their fault, it's not my fault. Like if they deny me, I'll go back.
Show, Eyewitness News.
A police captain in the Forensic Sciences Unit is expected to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court this morning. He was arrested at his home on Friday last week by the Madlanga Commission's Recommendations Task Team. He faces defeating the ends of justice charges. Khomozo Modise has more.
The arrest of the captain attached to the SAPS Forensic Sciences Laboratory is the first to emanate from testimony heard in the Madlanga Commission. According to police, the arrest relates to allegations of defeating the ends of justice in several high-profile murder cases. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mathe says he was arrested during an operation at his home.
During the operation, the team seized several items belonging to the state, including ballistics reports, several rounds of ammunition, and other evidential material relevant to investigations.
The police officer will make his first court appearance this morning. Khomozo Modise, Eyewitness News.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has tempered expectations of a Middle East deal, saying that he has told his negotiators not to rush. His comments come despite both Tehran and Washington signaling progress towards an agreement to end the war. The United States and Iran have observed a ceasefire since April, while mediators push for a negotiated settlement. The war erupted after the United States and Israel attacked Iran in February this year. Then Iran responded with missile and drone attacks across the Gulf region. Gold is trading at $4,566.81 an ounce. The rand is at 16.31 to the dollar, 22.05 to the pound, 19.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $99.68 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays. In fact, heavy traffic volumes along the N1 North between the Baku interchange and New Road. This is due to an accident there. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South approaching the scene. Please try to use Pretoria Main Road for an alternative. And then if you're traveling on the N3 North, still do expect delays approaching Van Buren Road. This is due to roadworks right after the Geldenhuys interchange.
A partly cloudy Monday expected across Gauteng today. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN, 6 people have been killed in 2 separate shootings in Khayelitsha.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good morning and happy Monday. It's 7 minutes past 9 right here in 7:02. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Modisa. I'm in for Clement this morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a restful weekend and you are rejuvenated. It's been a busy weekend. So, of course, coming up on the show, we're going to be reflecting some of what happened this weekend. We cannot ignore what was going on the sporting front. Of course, we must start with Amapagapaga, Orlando Pirates becoming league champions. Congratulations to them. And we'll also reflect on Masandawana becoming CAF champions last night. That's what is going to dominate the open line. I do expect that to be a big part of the open line this morning. In the second hour of the show, we've got our In Conversation feature. We talked to Minister of Transport, Barbara Creasy, and she's going to be with us talking to us about all things transport. We're taking your calls and your questions to her. The number to dial is 011 883 0702. And then in the final hour of the show, it's Family Matters, and we're talking navigating turbulent family relations without estrangement. Looking forward to that conversation with Kifula Mojapelo, a psychosocial well-being practitioner. That's the show this morning. On the team, Adele is our technical producer. Zinhle and Snazo are taking your calls. And we've got Mbali Dlamini on the news, and Amuramela is watching the roads. My name is Komazo Mudise. You can get in touch with us to join the conversation. The number to dial is 011 883 0702. Send me a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. Or send me, or get in touch with me on X. My handle is at @mozo_Mudise.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
The open line is brought to you by Truecaller. Trust the real ones on 702. Good morning. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is the Monday edition of the show. And of course, it's been a busy weekend in South Africa. It's been a great weekend if you're an Orlando Pirates fan or a Sundowns fan. Not so much if you are a Makosi fan, if you're a Kaizer Chiefs fan. Hey, it's been difficult for us, for Abele and I. We've had a difficult weekend trying to keep our calm, but also, to congratulate and show good sportsmanship, I should say, where we can. But yeah, I think we should start with Orlando Pirates, right? After a 14-year drought, you are finally the league champions. And then, of course, the African champions, a stellar performance from Masandawana in Rabat. Halala, Masandawana, halala, well done to you guys. A stellar performance out there. Huh? What a champion. What a champion showing up for Masandawana, but also for South Africa, flying the flag high. Congratulations to the guys. Even as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, hey, we congratulate you because we are not bitter people. We are not a mean people or mean-spirited people. We will definitely congratulate you, but only for today. Tomorrow it's back to factory settings. Let's go to Peter in Bochum, Kolimpopo. Good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for your call.
Good morning, Khomotso. How are you?
Hey, I'm okay. You are too excited for my liking.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate my team, Sundowns, Kabu Yellow, Menwana Pezul. The sky's the limit. We are the only team in South Africa to win CAF Champions League two times. We are the champions, undisputed champions. I'm happy. I'm over the moon.
Congratulations.
I don't want to talk about Pirates' own goals. It's none of our business, and we are not bitter rivals. We congratulate them.
I get about that we are jealous. But that we are jealous if we say we need our own goals.
We are not jealous.
All right.
Then South Africans must trust Sundowns. We will represent them very well in the World Cup.
Oh, Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs soon. We will represent them in the World Cup. Thank you so much, Peter. That's Peter in Bochum. Thank you so much for your call. Congratulating Sundowns. Let's go to Maxwell. You're in Pretoria. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Khomotso, and I'm a happy Pirates fan. I was at the stadium in Bombela, the venue that decided the league. We've got a team that lost on that venue in Mamelodi Sundowns when they were beaten by TS Galaxy. Then Pirates went to the same venue and won that cup. It was lit, Khomotso. It was humdinger experience and unforgettable memories, to be exactly. Pirates celebrating their treble. I saw a lot of legends that they were in attendance in that game. Not forgetting Sundowns as well. Congratulations to them. They were representing us. And the fact of those people who are saying they've own goal, this and the other, it's bitterness, because at the end of the day, they should have won the league and the Champions League as well. But my worry is Kaizer Chiefs, your team, Komozo. They need to raise the bar. They need to go to Pitso Msimane so that it can create a lot of competitiveness. Look at when Sundowns is high like it is, Pirates' own form is doing well, then where is Kaizer Chiefs? If Kaizer Chiefs, they can wake from the grave and come and being part of the whole situation, we can have a very, very interesting football in South Africa, to be exact. And congratulations to everybody, especially Pirates. But I saw the coach, Wenahumuto, he put something like a hint, Harry is feeling the pressure, he wants to go. So I'll be listening attentively to see if he will be still a Pirates coach next season. But be as it may, congratulations, Namapagania, aho, Gusalegangani, we have crossed the line up the bags, Khomoto.
All right, congratulations, Maxwell. Thank you so much for your call. I like Maxwell. He understands that Kaizer Chiefs is a big team, man. We are a powerful team for us to just be experiencing what we are going through. It's sad to see, it's sad to witness, but we will come back. We will come back stronger. I know that many of us were watching from the sidelines with our hearts bleeding a bit, that we can't be part of this fun. And I do think that the cries of our people, Amakosi, are being heard. I hope that something will be done about what we've been seeing in our team there by Naturena. Let's go to Komoto, my Beatso. You are in Dobsonville. Good morning.
Hi, Beatso. Moto.
Hey, Moto. How are you?
Bona, I would like to congratulate Mapagania. Ezimnyama ngenkani ezikamagebhula. Ezagebhula umhlaba. I'm a very soccer fanatic. I love Orlando Pirates. Congratulations to Mapagania. 14 years, we are champions. And congratulations to Mamelodi. Minwana Pezu.
Allah. Thank you so much, Komoto there. Hey, she's excited for Amapagapaga. It was beautiful to see. Can I tell you, even as a Kosi fan, I was watching virtually, so online. I know that there were celebrations at the Alka Stadium. What an amazing event. It really looked so good, so well organized. I saw reviews. So it seems that Amstel was hosting and had a watch party of some sort for Pirates fans at Alka Stadium. And yeah, it just looked like it was a well put together event. And hey, the Pirates people, they came out, hey? Baphume bonke. They came out in their numbers, and it was absolutely amazing to see. I think there's something beautiful about, football in this country that just unites us, that warms our hearts. You could just see people there with a single cause, ready for their party, for not their party. Hey, rata politique. We love politics, not their party, their team. And yeah, I was watching there. Can I tell you, I was watching with a bit of envy in my heart as a Kosi fan. But soon and very soon, things will be well. Pila, you're in Alex. Good morning.
Morning, how are you, Mutsu?
I'm very well. Go ahead.
Yeah, Pila, I'm Sam. I need to just congratulate the Sundown boys for doing us proud in Africa. I just want to say congratulations to the best team. And I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan. I wish I could change teams, but I'm way too old.
You can't change teams. Pila, come on.
Okay, I mean... Why not?
What's stopping you, Pila?
I think it's the kind of history that I have with Kaizer Chiefs that's still holding me down there.
Ish. And that's the thing about it, right? It's the fact that so many of us have stories about this team that we love so much, personal stories that are keeping us as supporters, right?
Yes, that's true.
All right, Pila, thank you so much for your call, but
all right, bye.
There are many personal stories. When you speak to people, I was listening to my husband speaking about the last time Pirates won the league, and he remembers himself, a younger version of himself in the streets of the Johannesburg CBD around Ellis Park. He remembers that. He even says that he remembers where he was when a picture was taken that's been making the rounds on social media. That's a personal story for him. So some of you had said to me that I promised to tell you why I support Kaizer Chiefs, even though I am from Orlando. So it's true. I am from Orlando, Soweto, not far from Epazapaza, Ngase11. That is my home. In fact, my family still lives there, but I am a Kaizer Chiefs fan, and I'm going to tell you why. So, as a younger child, as a child who would be traveling from Diepkloof, Soweto, on Saturdays, oftentimes we would see these fixtures between Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, and they would happen a lot on Saturdays. Now, on Saturday, I would be coming from church as a young girl with my family, and we would be driving from Diepkloof, Zone 6, and we would be driving home to Orlando, right? This is after a match or a fixture. It would happen quite a lot, where you would see Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates would be playing that afternoon. We would be at church, and then we'd drive home. This is, usually on a Saturday evening. Now, what would happen is, I used to live opposite a house that had a tavern. And this is in Orlando, of course. And so we would drive home from Diepkloof. And if Pirates has won, we know that day we are not going to sleep. It would be such a party, Abel, that to the point where we had our roof still had corrugated iron. We still had the corrugated iron roof many years ago. There would be things thrown onto our roof. And we knew that night we wouldn't sleep. And I remember after spending a long day in church, coming home, and I know that, Pirates has won. It's going to be a difficult night. And I really, really disliked the times when Pirates was winning. This is me as a little girl, because I knew what an inconvenience it would be. Now, of course, they had every right to celebrate responsibly, right? But that for me just created this posture that I have currently towards Pirates that it's so loud, it's so noisy. In fact, Amurame just was in the studio now, and she was corroborating what I was saying, hey, Pirates vele, there can be a lot, we can be a lot. She's a Pirates fan. She says we can be a lot when we win. So that for me as a child created that. And then let me tell you, when we were driving from Diepkloof is usually a Kaizer Chiefs area. And now in Diepkloof, the people when they win, it's very classy. Yeah, well, this is what I was witnessing. Very classy people sitting there with their camp chairs, looking very, very demure, I should say. And every time I would see that as a child, I'd say, yeah, this is what I want to associate with. And Diepkloof people will actually call it, Diepkloof is actually known for very, very classy, ke magrotman, so to speak. And this is me, the young Khomotso, watching this, saying, I don't want that loud thing that's going to happen there at home where we can't even sleep, where my roof is going to have things thrown onto it and I can't rest at the end of the night or at the end of the evening. I want this very demure, very classy, very fancy way, winners that are very, very classy. And that's why I decided to be a Kaizer Chiefs fan. This is me as a child, of course. In my home, I should say that we were split. My brother was a Orlando Pirates fan, still is, but my other brother was Kaizer Chiefs. And so I chose Kaizer Chiefs. So really, that's all there is to it, right? And I stuck with Kaizer Chiefs ever since. But hey, I sympathize with those that say they do feel like they could change and cross over. We're going to be taking more of your voice notes and your calls right after this.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Ready to make a real impact in just 90 minutes? On the 28th of May, Spur Steak Ranches and Rise Against Hunger are joining forces for World Hunger Day to pack thousands of meals for young children across South Africa. And we need you. Grab a friend, grab a shift, 10 a.m., 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. and come help us pack nutritious meals at Thunder Ridge Spur in Centurion. Sign up now via the Spur Facebook page or visit the Rise Against Hunger website. Be a hunger hero. Volunteer today.
It's game day, and the family's facing off against the Snotties and Flemmies. Dad's down! Blocked sinus and mucus is gaining ground!
New game plan. Let's bring in the ACC team.
With ACC, Mom's got the winning play. Entering the field, ACC helps break down mucus and clear the airways. Choose the winning team when you're facing Snotties and Flemmies. If it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Mzansi, Takealot's senior cards, and boy have you been shopping. To say thank you for all your support, we're bringing you the Thanks a Lot sale. Get up to 60% off must-have beauty, sports gear, latest tech, TV and appliances, everyday essentials, toys and more. To know you is to spoil you. Shop the Take a Lot Thanks a Lot sale from 25 May to 7 June.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, we unpack the latest annual results, taking a closer look at the numbers from Pick n Pay, Netcare and Eltron and what they tell us about the broader state of our economy. And how I make my money, we sit down with Lorraine Landon, head of advertising solutions for Google in sub-Saharan Africa, to explore how she helps clients grow their digital maturity and, of course, expert analysis of the day's biggest business stories.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Business Banking, featuring the AgriTrends 2026 Autumn Edition. In agriculture, smart moves need smart insights. Get the latest AgriTrends report at absaagritrends.co.za. APSA is a registered FSP.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It's the open line right here on the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Komoto Modise. So while there's been lots happening on the sport front, there's also been events in the news. And one of those is the arrest of a forensic science laboratory police officer. It's a captain who's attached to the laboratory. And he's been arrested. His arrest happened on Friday, and he's been charged for defeating the ends of justice. Now, this is an important arrest because it is the first arrest that is linked or from the Malanga Commission. So this is the first arrest that we are seeing of someone who's arrested linked to the evidence that's been led at the commission. Now, you may ask, what do I mean? So Yofani Nkosi's were arrested, right? But his arrest was not from, or it didn't emanate from the testimony that he gave at the Malanga Commission. He was arrested based on the raid at his house. We also had the arrest of Julius Mkwanazi. His arrest also was as a result of him being reported, him and Kagiso Leruta being reported, and that report came from a whistleblower. This is according to police, but it wasn't based on testimony heard at the Malanga Commission. Now, the captain that's been arrested now, according to the statement from the police, has been investigated after his testimony at the Malanga Commission, and he's accused of defeating the ends of justice in the work that he was doing. And so we're going to be seeing his appearance in the Pretoria Magistrates Court this morning. It's going to be an interesting one to see, but also I think it's an interesting case because that means police have taken weeks. I believe we've gotten his name, but we cannot mention it because he hasn't made his appearance in court. It's taken the police months, if not weeks, to investigate him after the testimony he gave at the Malanga Commission. I'm interested in the case that is being brought before the Pretoria Magistrates Court. Eyewitness News will be keeping a close eye on that story. But for now, let's take some of your voice notes.
Homozo, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to congratulate my team, Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi, sky's the limit Sundowns, the only team we've given with these two big fish cups of Africa, Champions League and Super Cup. Thank you, Masandawana. Thank you, Sandawana, to bring the second star. Siyabonga, siyabulela. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Komoto. Yeah, well done to Orlando Pirates and then to also Mamelodi Sundowns for winning the CAF. Yeah, I remember when attending the meeting some years ago when Patrice Motsepe took over the Sundowns from the Krok family. He said, I want to make Mamelodi Sundowns the greatest. And this is what had happened now, second star in a row. Though it is after 10 years, but well done to them. And then Sundowns have raised the standard of football in South Africa because every team now we're targeting Sundowns. Yeah, thank you. It's Clement Manyathela. Bye.
Hello, Komoto. Good morning. Congratulations, first of all, to Sundowns for representing South African football in the continental stage, and congratulations to Orlando Pirates for winning the league, of course. And then lastly, I want to say well done, maybe not a congratulations, but well done to my team, Kaizer Chiefs, for finishing top 3. Considering the fact that for the past 2 seasons, we have not even made top 8. So I'd say well done. Keep up the good work. It's not easy, but we see the improvements and we appreciate those because.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yabona, we are 3 now. Soon we will be number 1. Amuramela is,
which is good because I can tell you it used to be very hard to play against Kaizer Chiefs as Orlando Pirates fans because you'd know that they wouldn't even put the effort. But in recent days, they've shown resilience and they belong on number 3. So we are happy for them. We are.
What a backhanded compliment. Hi, okay. We're going to be taking more of your voice notes and calls after this. Mbali Dlamini is standing by. Good morning.
Thanks, Khomoto. A very good morning. Controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokgotsi is expected back in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today for his formal bail hearing. Mokgotsi faces charges which include perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of a firearm, and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. The state is accusing Mokgotsi of faking his assassination attempt in November last year in Vosloorus. Limpopo police have warned anti-illegal immigration protesters against breaking the law during planned demonstrations. Police say they will act decisively against any wrongdoing. This follows weeks of demonstrations by groups such as March and March and Amabuto in various provinces. While Eskom in the Western Cape says work is continuing to restore electricity to areas affected by power outages, it follows two severe storms that hit the province just 2 weeks ago. The storm downed many power lines and damaged some critical infrastructure. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling in Midrand, we've got a heavy traffic volumes. This is due to an accident that's been reported right near New Road. Delays from the Baku interchange. As a result, if you are leaving Sunny Hill, do expect delays from Rivonia Road towards the Baku turnoff, and even in Calvin along the N3 North towards the Baku. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling around this area. Try to use the R21 North through Kempton Park if you're heading towards the city of Tshwane, or even the R55. If you are traveling in Parktown, we've got some issues along the M1 North after Jan Smuts Avenue. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 as well as the R24 West. This is between Edenville Road and the Glulies interchange. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When it comes to growing investments, Truffle bends over backwards to make sure your assets move forward. For nearly 2 decades, Truffle Asset Management has delivered consistent outperformance for South African investors. With a proven long-term approach, your money keeps growing even when markets get tough, while others chase quick wins. Truffle says the course, or stays the course rather. Invest in the value of experience. Invest in a Truffle fund. Visit truffle.co.za.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, they say. But my toaster isn't broken exactly. It just lands my toast on the kitchen floor. You see, some things only kinda never work. Like a financial plan based on generic advice. That's why Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to understand you and only then apply their expertise. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions, and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win, all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
There's so much health information out there, but how do you know what to trust? Catch the Clement Manyathela Show tomorrow from 9 a.m. for Health Matters by Cipla Africa. We will be unpacking important health conversations designed to help you better understand your body and well-being. Health Matters by Cipla Africa is a trusted hub bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Then head to Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com, scroll to Prime Media Highlights and watch the latest Health Matters video featuring leading experts and thought-provoking conversations.
From your phone to the nation's airwaves, Open Line on the Clement Manyathela Show is brought to you by Truecaller on 702.
Welcome back. It's the Open Line on the Clement Manyathela Show, 24 minutes to 10. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for Clem this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your voice notes. I see them coming in. Someone on the WhatsApp line asking, what's happening with the Madlanga Commission? Are they on recess, and until when? Why don't they release a statement? And this is from Gamo. So what we know is that the Commission is on a break until the 1st of June. They are compiling their second interim report, and they will be handing that over to the President. Now, if what happened with the initial report is anything thing to go by. We're expecting the president then to release some sort of a statement on a way forward. You may remember that once the commission released that first interim report and gave it to the president, it wasn't released to the public. The president came out with a statement detailing what they're going to be doing next, also listing the names of police officers who have been flagged. And I think the president will do the same now. So they are on a break. They have communicated that they'll be away until the 1st of June. And I suppose we just have to wait and allow them to do the work. What I really like about what's going on here is that while the commission is still doing its work, it's not waiting to start with investigations. And that's why having a task team working from the commission, or the testimonies that have been heard at the commission, is so good, because we can see work and action being taken in real time. Thank you so much for that voice note. I do know that many of you who are Madlanga addicts, as it's a term that I've seen online, are really struggling without the commission. It's one to look out for on the 1st of June this year. All right. Someone else here saying, okay, there's more voice notes coming in. In fact, Abel, let's take some of them.
Good morning, Komoto and team. The Kaizer Chiefs, I'm a Kaizer Chiefs supporter. I was drawn to Kaizer Chiefs by the stylish football that they played. Your Ace Couzes, during the Ace Couze tenure, your Dr. Kumalos, your Sheikhs Kungwani and the likes, your Arthur Zwanis. So yeah, I've been a Chiefs supporter for almost, I don't know how long now. And I feel for people that say they want to switch, but I can tell them that ikosi alipheli mandla. Those that would want to switch, we call them sellouts. Mudise, nice show as usual. Thanks.
Good morning, 702 listeners. You know what, for me, as a Kosi fan, that's the mona, man. Like, you know, I'm happy for Pirates, first and foremost. Thank you for bringing it back to Soweto. Wow, it's been a while, it's a Pretoria. And the Pretoria tour these days, it can't always be going to Pretoria. Come on, guys, Pretoria is way too far. And then last but certainly not least, congratulations to Bafana Style. No, you represented SA well, and we are proud. Congratulations to Sundowns. But next season is the season of black and gold. Black and gold. Masungulu and Prince Edwin.
Yebo. No, ikosi alipheli manda, alipheli moya. We'll be just fine. You're right. Next season, we're coming, and they won't even see us coming. You see people like Amoramela, they're downplaying who we are, right? But we know who we are as Amakosi. Thank you so much for those voice notes. I think the one thing that's amazing also about football is that people will always find a reason to unite, right? So now we are uniting, and we agree that we're uniting on the basis that the cup is back Soweto, where it belongs, right? And it's a step closer to coming back home to us, Amakosi, right? I love how we are seeing that. And I also love how, so many Amakosi fans and Pirates fans really are congratulating Sundowns. I think yesterday we rallied behind our boys. They are our boys when they leave this country. We rallied behind them, and it was beautiful to watch. What was really unfortunate to see were the barbaric tendencies yesterday out there in Rabat. I mean, such poor sportsmanship, where you could clearly see that Sundowns was playing. They had to push so hard against a hostile environment, because that's exactly what it was. There was just such great hostility. I was actually a little worried that things may deteriorate and the match may even have to end. I didn't watch the full thing. I couldn't stay up that long, but the bits that I saw just before I went to bed, it was just so horrible to watch. And someone needs to hold them accountable. CAF needs to hold them accountable. We cannot allow ourselves to go and have fixtures and matches where people just don't know how to behave. And the sportsmanship should be upheld there. Our boys were there by merit. They weren't there because they worked hard. And I mean, if you're going to do poor funny tactics by throwing things on the pitch and using lights to blind our goalkeeper, it was such poor behavior there. But of course, Sundowns came out on top. In fact, I saw that when Vincent Magwenya scored, I saw one of the highlights. After he scored, he was basically running in that stadium on that pitch with Sundowns backing him, and more than half of that stadium was so bitter, you know. And the fact that they left the stadium even before the cup was lifted, what is that? What type of behavior is that? Cannot be allowed to continue at all. So that was very unfortunate to see. And it was such poor behavior there, poor sportsmanship there from the other side. But we are proud of Sundowns for, number one, rising above that, and number two, making South Africa proud. Let's take more voice notes.
Good morning, Khomozo. You know, I was so worried for you at home with a Bagania fan, and on this show, which is normally hosted by a Bagania fan. So worried that I, in fact, sent Clement a voice note to say, Clement, please take a day off your holiday and just do the Monday show. I don't think Khomozo will be all right. I am a proud Bagania fan. Congratulations to our friends, Mamelodi Sundowns. And I just have one question for you, Kaizer Chiefs supporters. Where's your star? Good morning.
You know what? You know what? Thank you for keeping me in your thoughts. It was very difficult being with a Bagania fan at home, I can tell you. And I have a 1-year-old, and she's being forced into being a Bagania. So yeah, she was just singing what her father was singing. What a difficult time for me. But you know what? Now when things get tricky, I just go to bed in the morning. In the morning. Listen, congratulations to you guys. Happy for you guys. But angiphelanga umoya. I'm okay. I know we will come back soon.
Hayi ezimnyama ngenkani ezikamakepula ezekepula umhlaba kamasipala zawubhekisa phezulu ezalanda inkanye ze-afrika zabuya nayo abanye basayikhomba phezulu Dumelo and Mabuluka Brets.
Good morning, Muzo. Good morning, Khumuzo. What a way to enter, Khumuzo. What a way to enter. Yeah. I said it last week that I wish you were here with us because I knew you were too good by us. Olani from the Val, Orlando Pirates supporter and a proud South African sports supporter. Well done, Masandawana. Well done. You made it possible. And you showed the world that even us in South Africa, we can do it. And to Ezimnyama Ngenkani, it is possible. Really hope that next season, Kaizer Chiefs will take it a notch up, and we're going to make this league an exciting league. Thank you, Muzo.
It's a pleasure. We rejoice with you today. We say congratulations. It's good news for South African football. And you know what? I love when the fire is still there. We're excited to watch. People are happy. Listen, I can't take that away from our people. So I'm glad that you had a fantastic weekend, and I'm glad that you are still celebrating your win. When it comes to Pirates, I said that we only give you one day. I celebrated with you guys yesterday. It was fine. Now we're celebrating with Sundowns, and tomorrow it's back to being an Amakosi fan.
Good morning, Khomozo. It's Baron here from Alexander. Can we get all our courts to follow what Madlanga Commission is doing? Madlanga Commission is in action. They practice what they preach. Madlanga Commission, when you go there, you don't know your story. They found you mumbling. They found you lying. Task team is ready to take you to jail. And my worry is they always take those people on weekends. I don't know whether they wait for them to be drunk first before they put them behind bars. I wish all courts can able to follow what Madlanga Commission is doing. Bravo to them. I really miss them already. Baroni Alexander, thank you.
Yeah, you know, Baron, last week I was having the conversation about how there's been comparison between the Madlanga Commission and the Zondo Commission. And I know that many people praise the Madlanga Commission because there seems to be movement, you know, in terms of arrests, in terms of people being held accountable. But the one thing I said, and I will always say this because it's easy to be confused, the arrests that we've seen were not necessarily as a result of the testimony at the commission. What I do agree with you on, Baron, is that this task team that they have, the police officers that are investigating, it's a brilliant idea. And when President Cyril Ramaphosa announced it after the handing over of the initial interim report, I thought this is fantastic because it means we've got police doing investigations in real time. And that means it will expedite the process of getting people behind bars. So that's great, right? And I do think that with the arrest that we saw this weekend, which is something that we're going to be seeing, the appearance that we're seeing in court today, it's definitely something worth watching closely because what's interesting now is to see what's the evidence that they've gathered against this particular captain after his testimony at the Madlanga Commission. So it's great. Also, we've got Brown Mokgotsi, who's also in court today, and he's applying for bail. So it's going to be interesting to hear from the state there whether they are opposing bail. He's also facing defeating the ends of justice charges. So yes, it's great when it comes to the Madlanga Commission. They're back on the 1st of June. I also see some of you saying, I see a comment on our YouTube, someone saying, "Nah, I left Chiefs and I've gone with Sundowns. It makes our country proud year in and year out." I get that. I don't blame people that leave when they feel like this team, I can't support this team anymore because people take it personally. It hurts. It becomes a personal loss. And I know that we don't want to be known as losers. We don't want losing to be our brand. And that's why I really like how Kaizer Chiefs supporters have gone to basically say they're going to march to Naturena, they're going to knock on those doors and say, do something about this. Because it's personal. It's personal when it comes to losing in football. These are teams that we've carried with us for years, that become part of our personality. So I understand when people say, listen, I'm jumping ship. I can't do this to myself anymore. I do see more of your voice notes and your WhatsApps coming in. In fact, let's take another voice note.
Good morning, Ukhabutso. Hey, in defense of Mapagapaga, people keep talking, especially those your colleagues at Amakosi. They keep on saying, but we negative own goals. Yes, we are supposed to get own goals because we've been scoring throughout. Never promotes our core, getting record. And then number two, everybody in our lineup, except for the goalkeeper, has scored a goal this season. Bye-bye.
But it's the truth. It's the truth. For nearly your own goal. In fact, I saw online someone saying, "Kanti, what's going on? Why are we struggling, to find the back of the net ourselves?" This is someone who's a Pirates fan. It's the truth. It's just that it worked for you this time, and it worked in your favor. So we won't take the glory away from you. Mara nnete ke nnete.
Hey, Khomotso and team, good morning. On this celebration-filled Monday morning, after Sundowns had done the country proud last night, and we say congratulations to Sundowns, even from us Kaizer Chiefs fans. And as for Orlando Pirates, congratulations, but we know what happened. We know what happened.
Yeah, good morning, Khumuzo. Talking about the behavior of the ASFA fans and everything. That's what happens when you play with the North Africans. Those Arabs there, man, not to hate or what, but that's what you experience when you go to play with them, especially at their home. They believe this, they want to win by hook or crook. No fair play at all whatsoever. So I'm not surprised. The boys would always see. I remember on the Peter Street coaching, you also told them that you have to be prepared there. Mentally, psychologically, you have to be fully prepared. That's how they behave. So now they're disappointed in how they used to win those things by hook or crook back then. Now things have changed. They have to get along. Thanks.
Khomotso. What has to happen with our PSL? All the teams have to fix their development structures so that we can have a bigger competition in the bigger league. Our development structures are very weak. Look at the DDC. I don't think the DDC is so competitive. Is not producing enough players for other teams. So all teams have to have great development structures. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those voice notes, and thank you for weighing in on that. Yeah, the voice note about the behavior out there in Rabat, it's unacceptable. I don't think we should accept it. In fact, I saw a tweet from someone who said we should just be grateful that, things didn't get violent. Absolutely not. What's there to be grateful about? They shouldn't get violent. We must be grateful because people were behaving as they should. And we can't be grateful when they really made that game so unpleasant for Mamelodi Sundowns. They made it so difficult for them to play. In fact, I think that's what fueled them to push themselves a little harder, because they could feel just in that stadium how heavy things must have been. It looked heavy from where I was watching as well. It's unacceptable behavior. It should never be tolerated, and I think it must be addressed as soon as possible. I saw videos of the supporters that were actually wreaking havoc there. There's video footage of the lady who had the green light that she was using to blind our players. That lady needs to be held accountable. In fact, she should have been thrown out, because she doesn't know how to behave. It cannot be accepted as the norm that whenever we go, we play. I mean, even when they were here, that behavior, that's no, there's no way. It cannot be allowed. Someone else here, I do see many of your texts actually coming in about Lewis Hamilton and saying that he's back, celebrating his strongest performance yet in Ferrari Red and finishing second at the Canadian Grand Prix on Sunday. So if you are a Lewis Hamilton fan and an Orlando Pirates fan, or if you're a Lewis Hamilton fan and a Sundowns fan, you had a fantastic weekend. So you're in Pretoria. You want to speak about Sundowns as well. Good morning. Thank you for your call.
Hi, thanks, so yes, just to declare, I'm a Orlando Pirates fan, but I would like to congratulate, my team. I would also like to congratulate Sundowns. But, in particular, I mean, Sundowns, on another note, because I think it pushed us, as, Pirates, and I think Chiefs as well, they are coming through in terms of spending, because, look, I think we were so complacent, at some point, and I think we learned from Sundowns to say you need to invest, in the caliber of players that you are bringing in.
Yeah.
And I think it paid off. So indirectly, they really helped us, to push us to say, look, I mean, guys, you need to spend so that you can have, quality players that will produce, results. Then, but also again, I mean, from a Sundowns point of view, I think they did well. It's good for the country. It's good for the national team. But also, I think for the players as well. I mean, them winning, CAF, it will open opportunities for, scouters in very competitive leagues. And I think it's good for everyone. So as much as I'm a Pirates fan, I'm happy for, their achievement.
Thank you so much for that. I agree. I agree with you. I think we cannot deny what this does for football, for our country. I mean, it's exceptional performance that they showed out there. And you're right. I think Orlando Pirates should be, not Orlando Pirates, Sundowns should definitely be lauded for their performance on the continent. Thank you so much, Spusiso.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, that's Spusiso in Pretoria. He's a Pirates fan, but he's giving a big high five to Mamelodi Sundowns, which showed up for us really as a country. Someone else here saying, Morning Khomotso, last year Chiefs drew with Amazulu via own goals, Ofori and Mpahlela. We kept quiet. We score 5-6 goals. We accused of brown envelope. Haribo. Pirates is just being targeted by jealous Sundowns and Chiefs people. Own goals happened because we are stepping up and applying pressure. Are you happy though with that performance? Are you happy, Mdu? Just honestly, are you happy that that's how you won the game? I'm sure you wanted to win, outright. And maybe let's not say outright, but I'm sure you wanted to win under better circumstances. And that's okay. I see someone else here saying, it's from Simon. Hi, so congratulations to Pirates. But we all know that it was unfair for Sundowns to be forced to play their last league game 2 weeks before Pirates played theirs. Hey, it's the name of the game. It's how things go. Simon, thank you so much for your WhatsApp. I saw a comment a little earlier, and I was thinking, should I read it? Should I not? Someone here saying, has Clement joined Rise Mzansi too? Just asking. Of course, this is someone who's being very naughty here because of what happened this weekend. We saw political analyst Lukhona Mnguni joining Rise Mzansi, and he is going to be He joins the Joburg mayoral race. Well, let me declare, Clement Manyathela is not joining Rise Mzansi, as far as I know. He's away on holiday and he will be back right here tomorrow. But I see what she did there. Thank you so much for your voice notes and your calls on the open line. Always fantastic to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you.
These calls.
No! This was us before. Our dinner time being interrupted by unverified calls. My husband, 5 to being scammed. Upgrade to Truecaller Premium Family Plan. Protects up to 5 people for just 49 Rand 99 per month. Hubby chooses what to answer and auntie knows what's real. Bese mina, I get my peaceful family dinner time. Truecaller, trust the real ones. Available on the Play Store and the App Store.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings.
4 to 6.
A foreign national can own and run an establishment in South Africa as long as they have the necessary paperwork and permits.
You know, there's a notion that concerns the local South Africans must just be content with the status quo. What is not said by the leaders is that you cannot venture into any of the other African states around and beyond us without the necessary paperwork. Even in Zimbabwe, they'll look you up.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Sizakaya, the new official national lottery operator, is changing the game with the introduction of Shesha codes. Now you can pick your numbers on your phone, generate your Shesha code, walk into any participating retailer, scan it, and print your ticket instantly. No coupons, no long queues and borrowing of pens. Just scan, play, and win. That's just you playing your favorite game. Fast. A new chapter begins with Sizakaya on the 1st of June. Sizakaya is licensed and regulated. No persons under the age of 18 permitted to play. Play responsibly.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
Did you know the moonwalk was first performed in slippers? Now, we can't prove this fuzzy fact. But we can promise that when you show support for Slipper Day, you help fulfill dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses. And that's a fact. Do it for the dreamers and wear your slippers on Friday, 29 May. Visit reachforadream.org.za to find out more.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the city of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
When we come back, we're going to be in conversation with Barbara Creasy. That's the Minister of Transport. For now, though, it's time for EWN.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. Controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mogotsi is expected back in the Johannesburg High Court today for his formal bail hearing. Mogotsi faces charges which include perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of a firearm and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. The state is accusing Mogotsi of faking his assassination attempt in November last year in Vosloorus. Thabiso Koba reports.
By the time Brown Mogotsi appears in court today, he would have spent more than 9 full days behind bars. Last week, investigating officers told the court they would have to go to Mahikeng in the northwest to confirm Mogotsi's residential address. The state has not indicated whether it will be opposing his release on bail. However, he is charged with Schedule 5 offences, meaning the onus rests on him to prove that his release on bail is in the interest of justice. Through his lawyers, Mogotsi has denied the charges against him, saying he did not fake his own assassination attempts. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Staying in the courts, a suspected kingpin linked to fraud in KwaZulu-Natal's flood disaster relief fund is expected to appear in the Durban Magistrates Court this morning. The Provincial Transport Department says the suspect was arrested for allegedly illegally gaining access to emergency housing funds meant for flood victims in the province. Spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says a specialized unit has been investigating corruption within human settlements, including the sale of RDP houses.
Game over for the perpetrators of fraud and corruption in the allocation of funds earmarked for the building of houses for the needy communities. In particular, there are mayors, councillors and officials who have bypassed the department and clandestinely rushed to hand over houses and title deeds to unqualified individuals.
Limpopo police have warned anti-illegal immigration protesters against breaking the law during planned demonstrations. Police say they will act decisively against any wrongdoing. This follows weeks of demonstrations by groups such as March and March and Amabuto in various provinces. Police spokesperson Hlulani Mashaba says officers are on standby should there be any form of intimidation, damage to property or unauthorized protests.
There are lawful avenues for raising grievances, and we encourage all parties to use those channels rather than resorting to unlawful protest. The police have been deployed in full force and will act decisively to maintain law and order without fear or favor.
Eskom in the Western Cape says work is continuing to restore electricity to areas affected by power outages. This follows 2 severe storms that hit that province 2 weeks ago. The storm downed many power lines and damaged critical infrastructure. Camry Clark has more.
Eskom says the full rebuild of the main high-voltage line between Boskloof and Rumansrivier in the Cape Winelands is set to get underway, with completion expected by Friday, 19 June. Additional work is also underway in areas including Hex River, Rawsonville and Witzenberg. In the Garden Route, 60% of the Langkloof network was restored by yesterday, while Harkerville remains without power and is expected back online by Saturday. In the Overberg, Onrus has been fully restored, while Elgin, Papisvlei and Stanford are due to be reconnected this week. Eskom spokesperson in the Western Cape, Kyle Cookson.
Eskom teams remain on the ground working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible, and we thank our customers for the continued patience.
On the West Coast, Eskom says restoration is progressing well in Lutzville and Citrusdal, but severe network damage in Algeria means there's no confirmed time frame for power to be restored. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
And more than 900 suspected Ebola cases have now been identified in the conflict-hit Democratic Republic of Congo. The new number was published by the head of the World Health Organization. Ebola is a deadly viral disease that spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids. It can cause severe bleeding and organ failure. In a previous update released on Saturday, the DRC Health Ministry said 204 deaths had been recorded in 3 provinces. Gold is trading at $4,557.91 an ounce. The rand is at 16.35 to the dollar, 22.04 to the pound, 19.03 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $98.46 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is a bit of a stop-and-go situation. This is between the Baklu interchange and New Road due to an accident as well as roadworks that are taking place along this route. So please be on the lookout there and approach with care. If you want to avoid the backlog, please use the R55 as well as Pretoria Main Road. While traveling in Calvin, we still have got those delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange.
A partly cloudy Monday expected across Gauteng today. Temperatures peaking at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN, controversial Northwest businessman Ramaphosa is expected back in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court today for his formal bail hearing.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. It's 8 minutes past 10 right here on 702. My name is Komoto Mudise. I'm in for Clement Manyathela this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your calls and your voice notes on the open line. I appreciate your engagement. It's a busy day in South Africa today. Just watching the TV screens from the studio, lots happening. I can see that there's marches happening both in the Western Cape, I believe, as well as in Katlehong, in Gauteng. And these are the anti-illegal immigrant marches. And then, of course, they are happening at the same time as Africa Day celebrations. And we know how there's been tensions there and whether the leaders of other African countries, as well as the ambassadors, can even take part in Africa Day celebrations under the current climate in the country. So that's happening as well. I can also see that in the Johannesburg High Court, the Pretoria Magistrates Court, rather, there's the bail application or the first court appearance of a police officer that I was talking about in the open line. And then there's also Ramaphosa applying for bail in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. So lots happening on the news front. Eyewitness News will keep us posted. And of course, the reporters are on the ground covering those stories. Coming up in the next hour, it's In Conversation. And with me for the next hour is Minister of Transport, Barbara Creasy. She's with me in studio. We're talking all things transport today. And I'll be taking your calls. If you have questions for her, if you've got any comments, as well as, if you have seen, identified anything in the transport space that you need clarity on, the number to dial is 011 883 0702. Alternatively, send me a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So South Africa's transport system touches every citizen every day. And transport is not quite abstract in terms of policy from where we stand, but the minister will clarify that. But quite frankly, the policy is very important. And the minister is going to be weighing in on that. South Africa's transport infrastructure is under severe strain. It is very clear that the rail networks are gutted in many parts of the country, and they have been for years due to theft and mismanagement. The roads are also crumbling, which doesn't make it easier. And of course, that's from the provincial neglect. And I do think that the transport space in our country does need special attention. Minister Barbara Creasy is in studio with me this morning to talk to us about that. Minister, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Kumotso, and greetings to all your listeners.
You've been in this portfolio for what? For almost 2 years now?
Yes.
It's 2 years in
2
July.
years.
What's your reflection on the current state of the country's transport system?
I think we can say that it is gradually improving. We have seen improvements in terms of passenger rail. Over the last 2 years, we've managed to treble the number of passengers that are moving on the refurbished Prasa network. We've increased the amount of freight we're carrying on the Transnet network by 20 million tons. There are enormous road refurbishment projects on our national highways where we're almost completely redoing the N2 and the N3. And of course, over the last few years, since 2012, we've taken over 13,000 kilometers of provincial roads, which we are upgrading because provinces are not able to maintain those roads. Big reforms in terms of the rail space. We're trying to reposition rail as the backbone of the transport system. But while we're doing that, we have to recognize that transport in the modern world is integrated and obviously must include all modes of transport, whether it's aviation, road. So we're also trying to do reforms in terms of our public transport grants so that we create more efficiency in that system, but also try and direct it directly to commuters.
I mean, you speak about the rail issue, which is critical in South Africa because a lot of our workforce uses the rail and has for many, many years. And there's repeatedly been these refurbishment projects that are taken on by government, but it seems to me, at least, and to many who use the rail system, that it hasn't been happening nearly as quickly as we need it to. And parts of the rail system still remain dilapidated and, seemingly unattended.
Well, I think if we're looking at urban commuter rail, we've now managed to complete 35 of the 40 priority lines. I think what is holding us back now is redoing the signaling. And there have been contracts issued in that regard, but it's a complicated and slow process because it's essentially about digitizing the rail network so that it's properly controlled and safe. With regard to Transnet, I think what we're now doing is focusing on the core network, those 5 priority corridors that carry most of the freight in the country. We now have a situation where we're putting the non-core network out for public consideration. We are not in the short term going to be able to fix a line between 2 small towns which a dairy farmer may want to use to bring milk to market. But we are saying that those lines are open for private sector operations and investment.
And how much of the problem is still a vandalism issue?
Vandalism is an issue. What you would understand is that there's a historical problem that happened during COVID. But we also have a problem, sadly, that we have other modes of transport, particularly trucking. And in certain areas, we know that as we fix the freight lines, there's fear from truckers that they will lose business. So some are involved in illegal activities. I don't want to say all because that obviously is not the case. But I think that it's a lack of understanding that in a modern transport system, there'll always be a role for truckers, there'll always be a role for taxis, there'll always be a role for buses. And the aim is to try and get everybody back into their correct role, because that is where they are likely to make the most money and where it's going to be most cost effective for individual commuters, but also obviously for those who would want to move freight.
So in terms of this draft National Rail Master Plan that's been put out for public consultation, how's it different? Because it sounds to me that it's another plan, one of many, to address the rail crisis. How's it different to what we've seen previously?
Well, it's different in the sense that there's never been a master rail plan in this country. So, I like to say, if you don't know where you're going, any road or any railway line can take you there. So what why we've brought this out is for two main reasons. The first one is to say, look, this is the long-term vision of rail. You would understand in the period post the 70s, there was a global shift away from rail. In the early 2000s, there's been a global shift back to rail. And that is because of congestion and also because of reduction of carbon emissions, climate change considerations. What we want to signal is that South Africa is part of that shift back to rail. So what will the future of rail look like in our country? And this is where I'm explaining that we will have a core network, and then we will have a secondary network that can be open for private sector operations. The intention is that the whole network will remain in the custodian of the state for South African people as a whole, but also to ensure that there should be interoperability and integration going forward. The second reason why we need the plan is that we are going to concession out some of these lines because we don't have the finances in the fiscus to fix them to the standard where we would want to have them. We need to be giving certainty to the market that rail is going to have a place in the future of an integrated transport system in the country. Obviously, the plan, and I've seen some of the criticisms that it's pie in the sky and so on. Obviously, when you put out a plan, you say a perfect system would look like this. But, of course, within that perfect system, there would be a process that you would be working towards. And that's what I think is useful about this document, is to give that certainty that rail is going to be the backbone of an integrated transport system in our country.
Mm. And of course, when you speak about rail, PRASA, we must have that conversation. And I do think that there is a sentiment, Minister, that there has been recovery at PRASA, but then now there's reports of job cuts there as well. What's the department? What are the sentiments from the department about this? I mean, it's 600 jobs, I understand.
I am actually meeting with Satawu this afternoon, and I would want to discuss their concerns with them and discuss how we address those concerns with them. So I don't really want to deal with that here. I don't think that would be fair. But what I think that we need to look at is that at the moment, there aren't long-distance passenger rail services operating. We're not running trains between Johannesburg and Durban, between Johannesburg and Messina. We have, in the requests for information that we put out last year, requested the private sector to give us an idea of what would they be interested in developing. So what we have to look at together with organized labor is if these workers are not doing anything constructive at the moment, is there a place elsewhere in the organization where they could be absorbed? And if not, what is the plan going forward?
And that's the conversation you're going to be having with the unions later.
Indeed.
All right. I want us to move to the buses because I see many questions coming in on that. The Rea Vaya is one question that keeps recurring. Questions around the fact that the services, there's disruptions almost always, and it seems the issues around there. There's also been a long-standing vandalism problem around there as well. Safety concerns with the buses as well. There have things stabilized for Rea Vaya bus services.
Look, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of individual municipal operators, because I'm not responsible for the operations and I wouldn't have that information. But what I can share with you is I spoke earlier about the consolidation of the public transport grants.
Yep.
The Integrated Public Transport Network grant, which is the grant that funds the so-called Rea Vaya systems in cities around the country, is an underperforming grant. 147,000 passengers are being carried on this network. Compare that with the fact that 8 million passengers are being carried on the taxi network, and you can immediately see why I think it's unconscionable to continue with this particular grant in its current form. The question we have to address is we have a grant that is specifically for bus subsidies. And this grant has been funding for the longest period of time since apartheid, those buses that run on routes that would historically have been moving between the resettlement areas and the major cities. I call them apartheid bus routes because that was the spatial development that led to this problem. Now, so there's a section of the bus industry that's subsidized and the rest of the bus industry isn't. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, let's look at all the pockets of money that there are in the system and let's conduct a reform process that allows us to look at how would you use those grants in a way that is equitable for all modes of transport, but also in a way that directly benefits commuters. So that is the process we're involved in at the moment, and that is why we have a scale down of, I'm calling it for argument's sake, the Rea Vaya grant, because then you know what I'm talking about.
I'm very tempted to ask you what the response has been on that.
Well, obviously, there are the response is different depending on where you sit. So, for example, I had a very useful conversation with the Mayor of Cape Town who says that my city bus service works well. And I said to him, Mayor, tell me how you think the grant should be reformed. I would say the same thing to the Mayor of Johannesburg if he asked me, tell me how you think the grant should be reformed. But we can't go on funding 147,000 passengers when 8 million are not supported.
We're speaking to Transport Minister Barbara Creecy on all things transport. I do see many of your WhatsApps and your voice notes coming in. More from her after this.
If you're CEO or CFO looking to grow across Africa, then the next 60 seconds are for you. Because in that short time, one bank in Africa will process over 300 million rand. That's 430 billion rand every day. Right now, we have 17.7 trillion rand of the continent's assets under custody management, making us far and away the largest bank by assets in Africa, which is why in 2025, we were voted Best Bank for Corporates in Africa at the Euro Money Awards for Excellence. So, if you're looking for a bank with scale, we're easy to find. We are in 21 key markets across Africa, and we've been on the continent for 163 years, so we are not going anywhere. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports, no more disconnected systems, no more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. istratgo.com.
The Rebirth of Ubuntu concert returns for its 5th edition live at Joburg Theatre 29 and 30 May at 7:30 p.m. celebrating 50 years of youth legacy, featuring Lira, Zoe Mudiga, Vusinova, Tutu Puani and Jimmy Zuzu, backed by a 20-piece orchestra conducted by Grammy Award winner Joe Arthur, curated and produced by the visionary Billy Munama. Tickets available at Web Tickets, proudly supported by Brand South Africa, City of Johannesburg, Arts Alive, 702 and ENCA.
I want another puzzle from the crazy store. 1,000 perfect pieces, but then I saw so much more. I got slippers and a blanket to keep me warm at night. Sudoku and a coffee mug and fuzzy socks that fit just right.
That's crazy, crazy. That's the crazy store. Went in for one small thing, came out with so much more.
The crazy store. Hey, you never know what you might find.
Every week, millions of South Africans do the same thing. They pick numbers, they take a chance, and for a moment, they dream big. Now the National Lottery is entering a new chapter. On Tuesday, 26 May, Clement Manyathela will be in conversation with Sizakaya Holdings, the new operator of the National Lottery. Listen to find out what changes and what you can expect from this new era of the National Lottery. The Clement Manyathela Show, in conversation with Sizakaya Holdings. Tuesday on 702. Sizakaya is licensed and regulated. No persons under the age of 18 permitted to play. Play responsibly.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
It's in conversation right here on the Clement Manyathela Show, and today we speak to Transport Minister Barbara Creecy, who's in studio with us. She's taking all your questions as well as all of your, your contributions to this conversation. So get in touch with us on 011-883-0702. All right, I do see on the WhatsApp line someone saying, what is the minister planning to do with the issuing of illegal roadworthy certificates in the country? Vehicles get issued with roadworthy certificates without them being presented at a test station. That's from Dean. Minister, that's an ongoing problem as well, the corruption at the transport departments. How are you addressing that?
Yeah, I think that's a very serious issue because it obviously impacts on the question of road safety. We have been doing a lot of work with the security agencies. We've had investigations into, there was a big investigation into operations that were taking place in Limpopo and also in Northwest. There have been arrests and prosecutions there. And it's really an area that we have to continue to focus on because, as the caller is saying, it's a bad problem. Obviously, as we upgrade our national and provincial IT systems, it also assists us to start to weed out these kind of fraudulent activities. We are working together with the presidency on an overall reform of our IT systems. I think that, the real issue is you've got to cut the human beings out because machines don't tend to discriminate.
But what would that mean for jobs?
Well, you still need the human beings to be inspecting the vehicles. You still need the human beings to be running the IT, but you don't need the human beings to be in a position where they are sorting out queues and sorting out who comes first and who doesn't make it through and so on. So I think that this is where IT can also assist us to reduce fraud and corruption.
And you speak about investigations that have been done, but what results have those yielded? I mean, I haven't seen statements from the Transport Department that we've fired this many people or this many people are being taken to court and being held criminally liable for the corruption. Are we there yet?
Well, as you know, arresting people is one set of operations, and I know there have been arrests. It then falls into the domain of the Department of Justice, and I'd love you to ask them how many successful prosecutions have there been and what has been the sentencing.
But the investigations were led by the Transport Department.
The investigations were led by the South African Police Services. We regulate transport. We are not a criminal investigation division.
Yes, but what I mean, Minister, is if there's investigations being done by the department or in the Department of Corruption.
No, the investigations are done by the police. I know that there were, for example, SIU investigations.
Yeah.
They're not done by us.
We're speaking to Minister Barbara Creecy. We're taking your call. She is speaking about investigations that have been done within the Transport Department, answering questions around corruption. And she'll be answering more of your questions after the news headlines. Let's take the headlines with Mbali Dlamini. Good morning.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good morning. Lawyers for controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokhotsi are confident he will be released on bail today. Mokhotsi is appearing before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning for his formal bail application. He is charged with several counts of perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of a firearm, ammunition, and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. The head of internal medicine at Charlotte Maxeke Hospital says corruption continues to cripple the facility. Adam Mohammed spoke to the Sunday Times after the public protector released findings into alleged maladministration at the hospital. Mohammed blew the whistle in 2022 after a fire severely damaged the storeroom and several blocks of that hospital. While in Tokyo, at least 20 people have been injured at a shopping complex after a man sprayed an unknown substance inside the building. According to police, the man sprayed the substance at an ATM on the ground floor of that building, forcing people to flee. An AFP reporter at the scene saw 2 people on stretchers being put into an ambulance. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North in the Midrand area. This is between the Baku interchange and New Road. A major accident scene reported along this route. Please be on the lookout there and try to use Pretoria Main Road. The R21 is also open through Tembisa for you if you are leaving Kempton Park towards the city of Tshwane, and also the R55 through Sunning Hill. Otherwise, if you are traveling through Kelvin, do expect delays as well between Marlborough Drive and the Baku interchange. That's due to another accident scene there. And then heading towards Amalgam, we've got delays on the M2 West. That's between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Calling on all aspiring radio stars this June, 7:02 afternoons with Relebogile Maboja is bringing back Youth Takeover Thursdays. If you or someone you know dreams of being on air as a talk show host, newsreader, transport reporter, or sports presenter, we want to hear from you. A select few will shadow the team, go live on 7:02 and walk away with a professional demo. Email 702afternoons@702.co.za with your details, the role, a short motivation, and a 1-minute demo. Applications close on the 29th of May.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Sprite, Fanta or Stony soft drink or Schweppes soda water 2 litres, any 2 for 37 Rand. Yum Yum peanut butter 800 grams for 69.99, and Sensodyne repair or sensitive toothpaste 75 mils for 74.99 each. Valid until 7 June, only at Checkers.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It's the Clement Manyathela Show. 25 minutes to 11. In studio with me is Transport Minister Barbara Creasy, and she's taking all of your questions and your calls. In fact, let's go to the phone lines. Lucy, you've been holding for a while. Is it Lucy? You're in Tshwane. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm okay. I'm okay, Lucy. I see there that it's a. I thought, is it lucky because it's male? It says it's male. Lucy, thank you so much for your call. Please go ahead with your questions.
Hello, Miss Minister. I would like to ask, why is it that when you go to a driving school, there's no way to verify whether it's legitimate or not, and there's no way to verify whether the instructor is registered or not, because it leaves us vulnerable to scam?
As far as I know, all driving schools and all instructors do have to be registered. If you leave an email, I will find out the exact process by which you can verify and email you back.
And Lucy,
Okay.
what has the reality been on the ground? Because the minister is speaking about what should be happening, but what are you experiencing on the ground?
You mean in terms of what I just said, or
Yes.
you mean in terms of the conversation?
No, particularly driving instructors.
Oh, so basically, I'm scared to go into details because there's like fraud and corruption. But basically, when you look for a driving school, you can't tell whether it's real or not, like if it's legit or not, and the prices. Some of the prices are shady, so you don't understand if it's just them being cheap or if it's if they're gonna ask you for a bribe.
Right.
We have had people who have said that they've gone to driving schools and they have been approached for an upfront payment to ensure that they get their learners and they also get their licenses. I understand that in this kind of situation, you may not want to give those details, but I would suggest that those details are appropriate for the presidential hotline, because otherwise we have no way of getting the information and being able to follow up. And that, of course, is an anonymous service.
All right, Lucy, then Tshwane, thank you so much for your call. Let me move to Pat. You are in Katlehong. You want to speak about, is it the issue around the e-tolls? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Minister.
Morning.
My point is that in English, they always say the best are bought at the cost of great pains. The idea of maybe cutting the tolls in Gauteng, was it a good decision, especially when you consider that in modern roads anyway, the standard of the roads were so perfect, and then right now it's going to cost the fiscus to address certain issues which I thought maybe they were a priority. What makes me to say this is that if you look at the R24, R21, those roads have actually deteriorated. I know they are the provincial roads. If you could look at R59 as well, it has it's deteriorating actually. So I think the Gauteng government I still believe they made a wrong decision by deciding not to toll those roads. I don't know what is your opinion. Maybe it could be short-term gains and long-term losses. I don't know. I want to get your idea regarding that, Mrs. Minister.
Pat, thank you so much for your call. Yeah, I mean, I know, Minister, that you've allocated 31 billion. Is it 31 billion rand to SANRAL?
Yes, 31 billion. Some of that is obviously for the national roads. Some of it is for what we call the non-toll portfolio. It's those provincial roads we've taken over and we are repairing at our expense. And then there's also an allocation for what's called GFIP, which is the Gauteng toll roads that the caller is talking about. Look, I personally am not a supporter of urban tolling. I think history showed that experiment didn't work. So I do support long-distance tolling in situations where it is appropriate. But I think that the whole history of the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project was a bit of a sad experiment that didn't work.
All right, let's go to Dimitri. You are in Johannesburg. Thank you so much for holding. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
I'd like to just ask the Minister with regards to the situation around Part 91 aircraft. I'm sure you're well aware of the 12-year engine debacle. And I'd like to ask the Minister, has the promulgation come across a desk for final signature and gazetting in a government gazette so that people can get on with the activities and etc.?
I don't think it's come across my desk yet, but I do agree with you that it is urgent that this matter needs to be finalized so that there is certainty for the industry.
Okay, but that's quite concerning that it hasn't come across your desk yet, because I do understand on the 20th of April, it was all approved to go to the Department of Transport. And I'd just like to urge you, if it's possible, that you could just follow it up and see where, so we can expedite this long overdue gazetting, if you don't mind.
Well, thank you for that tip. I will definitely take it forward.
Thank you very much, Minister. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call, Dimitri, there in Johannesburg. Moses in Pretoria also wants to speak about people with disabilities in public transport. An important question there. Moses, go ahead.
Hi, Komodo. How are you?
I'm very well, Abudi. How are you?
Good, thank you, man. Minister Legai, how are you? How are you, Minister?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Actually, I'm very much, because I'm physically blind. I'm totally blind. I just want to get your view, or if you can respond to my concerns. I commute via PATCO. In the area that I reside, there's only one bus that caters for the needs of persons with disability. I use a walking stick. You would understand when you're getting up the stairs, getting off, and what. So that bus does it's a tailor-made bus. Caters for persons with wheelchair, all of us, blindness, and people with hearing impaired. But the challenge is, because I normally hear you, Minister, and all other officials speaking about universal access to public transport that is safe, reliable, and available 24/7. And I think we're still far. What is the department's plan? If you were to ask DG, is it Mulau and your DDGs there, Manamela, and all of them, I have their email address. I communicate with them with a lot of PATCO challenges. In our area, PATCO cater that part. You would understand you would concur with me, or you agree with me, Minister, that even the language they are using for us is very wrong, let alone to ensure that we get help. It's something that we wish for. What are you doing to ensure that at least these service providers do cater for our needs? There's a lot of challenges, Minister. There's a lot of challenges. You will remember that some departments are assisting us by at least taking us from where we stay to where we work, or from where we work to where we stay, at least a few of them. So can this be a national problem, programs, Minister? Because some countries, you would understand, it's no longer a problem at all. The universal access to public transport, that is safe, that is reliable, and that also understand the needs and the language of us, people with disabilities, various disabilities for that matter, Minister.
Yeah. Moses, thank you so much for your call. Minister?
I think that, first of all, we do have to recognize that disabled people are a vulnerable group in our society, and as our public transport system evolves, we do have to cater for their needs. Let me make an example. All of the new trains that we are manufacturing for PRASA have a special section that caters for disabled people. So I do agree with the caller that we are a long way from where we want to be. And we did have, I think it was 3 years ago, there was a special conference on making transport more accessible. It is a work in progress, and we definitely are not where we want to be yet.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that call, Moses. Let's go to Bram Fisherville. Preston, thank you for holding. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Minister, I've got a concern. My son has been writing the, learner's test. And they failed him because he didn't want to pay 1.5 bribe.
Yes, I think that what I suggested to a previous caller who was afraid of consequences, use the presidential hotline, report the institution where you were. That's the only way that we can take action against them.
All right. Thank you. Preston. Okay. Yeah, go ahead very quickly.
But why must we pay a bribe to write a
You shouldn't pay a bribe.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your call, Preston, there in Bramford. I think, though, he captures the frustration of many South Africans who will, go to these centers and they want to do things the right way, and they contend with these challenges where corrupt officials just continue making these demands and they don't know how to move beyond them. But yes, I think the minister will mention once again towards the end of the show where exactly you can lay those complaints anonymously. Let's go to D in Johannesburg. Thank you so much for your call. Good morning.
Hi, Komotso. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
All good, thank you. Just a question to the minister. I'd like to know what they are doing to assist the municipalities in sorting out the potholes.
Thank you, Dee. We have first of all, let me say that road maintenance, in terms of the Constitution, is allocated to all three spheres of government. And the municipal infrastructure grant, 17% of that grant is for road maintenance. The problem is it's diverted and it's not used for road maintenance. We have a working group with SALGA. The purpose of that working group is to try and ensure that municipalities use the money that is allocated by National Treasury for road maintenance. I can't dictate directly to municipalities. I don't have that power, but I can work with them in a facilitative manner, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. The reason for my question is simply because come festive season, then, Minister of Transport is ready to say, make sure your cars are in roadworthy condition, but the roads are not in car-worthy condition. I've replaced 5 tires in 1 year.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dee.
Thank you so much for your call, Dee in Johannesburg. Another one expressing frustration that many of us are experiencing. I think another hot topic, Minister, is the implementation of ARTO. And Lisiba in Pretoria, you want to speak to that. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Minister.
Morning.
Yes. Minister, I have 2 questions for you. Actually, one is a question, one it is a suggestion. I just want to check how far it is the enrollment of ARTO nationally. And then secondly, this is my suggestion. Why can't we keep Section 56? Because it is more biting than the ARTO. Because you find out that in Gauteng, traffic officers are issuing ARTO, and then most of motorists, they'll find a way to play around the ARTO. Because, for ARTO to start biting, it must go through certain process. While Section 56, you get a court date. It's either you pay or you get a court date to appear. So why can't we continue with Section 56 instead of ARTO? Thank you very much, Minister. Can you please answer me on that?
Thank you, Lisiba. So I think the root of the problem that we're trying to solve with ARTO is the fact that last year 11,418 people were killed on our roads, and thousands more were seriously injured, many of whom were disabled for the rest of their lives. 85% of all accidents are caused by driver behavior. Speeding, drunken driving, texting while driving, and reckless driving. The long-term way in which ARTO will work is that it won't just fine you, it will put endorsements on your driving license for bad behavior on the roads. So that is why we are now trying to get ARTO to work properly. There are over 60 municipalities where we will implement it from the 1st of July this year. We're working hard to make sure that everybody's got everything they need to have in order that they can implement, and those municipalities that are not ready will be shifted to phase 3. But I think that what we have to understand is that we need to free up the courts to deal with crime. We can't have the courts bogged down dealing primarily with traffic fines. That's not the purpose of the courts. And I think we all feel that there aren't enough consequences for crime in this country, but there also aren't enough consequences that allow drivers to behave badly and to continue to have a legal driving license. So that is why we need ARTO and why we have to move ahead with the implementation.
Lisiba, thank you so much for your call.
Okay, can I say something before?
Yes, very
I end
quickly,
the call?
follow up, yeah?
I hear you, Minister, and then I accept your explanation. But I've been observing the issue of the rollout of ARTO. It has been meeting resistance countrywide. Hence, my point was that since most of the province are familiar with Section 56, and then how about we continue with it while you are still sorting out the red tape of everything? Because we all know that there's too much resistance from other sectors, especially with the implementation of ARTO. But
we've traveled around the country. We've met with all municipalities over the last 6 weeks. There are those who are resisting, and they're resisting because they're not ready. And we've agreed that they will move to phase 3. Other municipalities are saying, we're tired of waiting. Can you get a move on and implement? Right now, the city of Tshwane is collecting less than 15% of the fines that are issued. The rest go to court and play games in court. We do not need our courts bogged down by bad drivers who are playing games.
All right. Thank you so much for your call, Lisiba there. Dr. Guy Leach wants to speak about SAA. Doctor, good morning. Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you. Good morning, Minister. Yeah, just a quick one. The R1 billion that was paid for the sale of shares back to the shareholder in the 2025 financials, can you just please shed a bit more light on that and confirm that it wasn't, to all intents and purposes, a bailout?
Guy, I think what you're talking about is the sale of the slot at Heathrow.
No, not the sale of the slot. We understand that one. There was a transaction of essentially R1 billion worth of shares that in the financials that were sold to the shareholder, in other words, the state. And that would surely have released a further R1 billion into SAA's coffers.
Guy, I need to go into that and come back to you. But we are not in favor of bailouts. I do not believe that public funds should be spent on subsidizing airlines. Public funds must be used to subsidize public transport that commuters use when they go to work on a daily basis. But let me come back to you on this, but there has been no bailout to SAA.
All right, Dr. Guy, thank you so much for your call there. All right, I want to take some of the WhatsApps because they've been coming in thick and fast. So we have someone saying, we see massive Christmas and Easter campaigns to address lawlessness on our roads, but for the rest of the year, we do nothing about daily lawlessness. Why is road safety an event? Surely it is a daily process.
Absolutely not true. We are working on this on a continual basis. I meet with law enforcement agencies on road safety every single Thursday. We have just concluded the road safety campaign that ran up until the end of May. The middle of May, what I can share with you is that so far this year, we have managed to reduce the death toll by 8%. We are meeting again this Thursday so that I can take the plans for the winter season. There are different modalities on the roads during the winter season: mist, smoke, early sunsets, late sunrises, all of which bring in new hazards. But we are also focusing on two ongoing issues: the inspection of private scholar transport vehicles, because we are very concerned about what has been going on there, and everybody knows the terrible accident we had at the beginning of the year. And the second issue that we're focusing on is pedestrians that stroll around highways and major roads. In the metros, we have a situation where up to 70% in the city of Cape Town of road deaths are pedestrians. We're working on this together with the metros and the provincial governments 24/7. There is absolutely no truth that this is only at Christmas and at Easter.
Minister, we have run out of time, but I would have done a major disservice if I don't ask you about the taxis and taxi operators. Questions coming in about them holding other operators at ransom and the Transport Department having to regularly intervene there. You've been having ongoing talks with the taxi industry. Where are you with that?
We do have ongoing interaction on this. I know that Santaka themselves have issued a public statement to say that there should not be intimidation of private citizens. We also meet every year with the taxi associations and the Minister of Police and discuss matters of common concern. Tomorrow I will be addressing the Santaka conference, and I can assure your listeners I will raise this issue again.
And then finally, Minister, 102 billion rand, that's the budget that you tabled. I'm interested in how it's going to be used to change the lives of South Africans, because that's really what it is. Hey? People wanting to experience transport in this country as commuters peacefully. How is that going to be used?
More trains, better roads, more effective control of our aviation sector, better management of freight and our ports so that we get products to market and so we earn the foreign exchange we desperately need. That is our commitment.
Transport Minister Barbara Creasy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
You have insurance, just in case. A spare tire, just in case. But when it comes to cash flow, most businesses wait until it's too late. Bridgement gives you business funding on standby, so timing doesn't decide for you. Get access to up to 10 million rand, no cost to apply or keep it in place. Use it when you need it, free when you don't. Apply online at bridgement.com. Bridgement, business funding simplified.
Today, standing out in the job market is more important than ever. Postnet and Huru are here to help you succeed. Did you know that many organizations require a criminal record check before hiring? From educators to retailers, drivers to lawyers and more, Postnet has you covered. From just 335 Rand, add a Huru criminal record check to your CV and stand out from the crowd. Visit your nearest Postnet today. Postnet, helping you succeed.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. Lawyers for controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokhotsi are confident he will be released on bail today. Mokhotsi is appearing before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning for his formal bail application. He is charged with several counts of perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of a firearm, ammunition, and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. The charges relate to an assassination attempt on his life in Vosloorus last November, which the state is alleging Mokhotsi faked. When Mokhotsi appeared last week, the state told the court that investigating officers would be travelling to Mahikeng in the northwest to verify his residential address. Mokhotsi's lawyer William Sekhaja spoke to media ahead of his client's court appearance.
I am confident that we will get him released on bail today, subject to the positive verification of the address. We submitted a verifiable address and we expect that bail will proceed today on in this particular court on the 25th. So we are very confident that since Mr. Mokhotsi is a South African citizen and he's not a flight risk, there is no reason why bail should actually be denied.
Let's stay in the courts with the state case against alleged underworld kingpin Nafiz Modak now closed. Attention in the Western Cape High Court is shifting to co-accused Ziad Pool. Pool faces more than 100 charges, including murder, extortion and money laundering. The state claims Pool played a key role in Modak's alleged criminal enterprise, describing him as a co-manager and close associate. Carlo Peterson has more.
Ziad Pool is accused of assisting in the plot to murder anti-gang unit detective Charles Kinnear, as well as the attempted murder of attorney William Booth. The state has produced evidence which shows Pool received payments from Empire Investment Cars, a company allegedly used by Modak to launder money for crime. Proceedings were postponed last week to allow Pool's lawyer, advocate Bash Sibda, time to consult with his client after access issues at Paulsmoor Prison. The matter is set to proceed this morning. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
The head of internal medicine at Charlotte Maxeke Hospital says corruption continues to cripple the facility. Adam Mohammed spoke to the Sunday Times after the public protector released findings into alleged maladministration at the hospital. Mohammed blew the whistle in 2022 after a fire severely damaged the storeroom and several blocks. In the public protector's report, it was found that there has been underspending, delays in repair work and weak financial controls. Jabuli Limba has more.
The head of internal medicine at Charlotte Maxeke, Adam Mohammed, says he will be leaving public health because of how dysfunctional the system is. He said at Charlotte Maxeke, senior positions remain unfilled, which compromised the functionality of the departments. He adds that large sections of the hospital are not operating, while there is still a lack of infrastructure. This is while the public protector's report revealed poor project management and delays in repairs to this day. The report adds that the Auditor General will examine how funds were managed. Jabuli Lambata, Eyewitness News.
Hundreds of residents have been left displaced after a deadly fire destroyed parts of an informal settlement in Moreleta Park. One person was killed and about 150 structures were damaged in the blaze. Tshwane Emergency managed to contain the fire before it spread throughout that settlement. Emergency Services spokesperson Nanaga Tebekhiba says officials are assessing the full extent of the damage.
Preliminary investigations into the cause of the fire will be conducted. Disaster risk management will also conduct assessment to assist affected families.
And in Tokyo, at least 20 people have been injured at a shopping complex after a man sprayed a substance inside the building. According to police, the man sprayed the unknown substance at an ATM on the ground floor of the building, forcing people to flee. An AFP reporter at the scene saw 2 people on stretchers being put into an ambulance. Firefighters and other officials dressed in hazmat suits were also seen bringing people from the mall into specialized trucks to examine them. Police are investigating the incident. Gold is trading at $4,557.91 an ounce. The rand is at 16.35 to the dollar, 22.04 to the pound, 19.03 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $98.46 a barrel.
And in the traffic heading towards Rand Park Ridge, we've got an accident on the N1 South that happened near Beyers Nodia Drive. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. There's also queuing traffic due to another accident scene that's on the N1 North approaching New Road. Please be on the lookout.
A partly cloudy Monday expected across Gauteng today. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Lawyers for controversial Northwest businessman Brown Mokgotsi are confident he will be released on bail today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. It is 6 minutes past 11. It's the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show with me, Khomozo Modise. Thank you so much for tuning in. We just had a conversation with Transport Minister Barbara Creasy, and if you missed that, you can find it on the Prime Media Plus app or check it out on our YouTube, and you can also share it with all those around you. She did try to take some of your questions, and I know that we can't get through everything, but I do think that we got through a decent amount. Thank you for your questions for her that you posed today. All right, so coming up in the next hour, we're going to be, it's Family Matters. It's our Family Matters session, and we're going to be talking about navigating turbulent family relationships without estrangement. We're speaking to Kifilwe Mojapelo, who's a psychosocial well-being practitioner. That's a mouthful. Psychosocial well-being practitioner, and she is going to be talking to us this hour. I'm taking your calls on 011 883 0702, your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702, and your posts on X. My handle is at @Motso_Modise.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So it's Family Matters, and some of our family relationships can feel secure and satisfying, which is great. Those are the relationships that we are comfortable being in, but others can feel difficult and stressful, that we wonder if that person should even be in our lives. I don't know how many times I've heard people saying, I'm cutting them off, I'm cutting this person off, I've done everything that I can, and that's, of course, as a result of difficult family relations. It might be an overly critical dad who makes you feel anxious, a sibling who's jealous, and it constantly comes up in your relationship. In whichever form that may be, these turbulent family relationships can have long-lasting effects on your health and your well-being. Are you struggling to coexist with difficult family members? How have you navigated those relationships without being estranged? We're having that conversation with Kifilwe Mojapelo, our psychosocial well-being practitioner. Kifilwe, it is such a mouthful. Good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Khomozo, and thank you so much for having me. And how are you?
Hey, Kiki tongue twister. I'm okay. I'm trying to get through the title there. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Khomozo.
You know, whenever we speak about family members and relationships, and those relationships that get difficult and turbulent at times, to cut even your family members off and become estranged, right? But what we're talking about today is that you are able to navigate those turbulent relationships without estrangement being the solution.
100%. And I love how the topic is phrased as well, so that we can allow people to say, how do we navigate without being estranged? And just maybe to go back on who Kifilwe Mojapelo is, I am the director of Kifilwe Mojapelo Psychosocial Services. And I believe, don't ask me how, but I believe that I came to the world. My purpose is to nurture relationships, build functional families, and promote psychosocial well-being as well as restore. So I love it when you're speaking about without being estranged. It speaks to nurturing relationships and promoting functional families.
Yeah.
So I thought that it's just critical so that the goal is there. Yes, we can cut off, and normally we are told to cut off, but can there be a best way of maintaining? And while maintaining that relationship, you are still nurturing self. You're not compromising self.
And why are we so quick to cut off? And why is that even an option? I'm going to cut you off and continue with my life without you. I don't want to disregard the fact that people might have very difficult, toxic relationships with their family members, but it does seem to me that that the scissor, so to speak, is too close sometimes.
It is too close sometimes. Sometimes it is too long. You realize that I've been so patient with these people, but the more I come close, the more broken I live. So maybe that's where maybe the other aspect that we need to focus on, to say there's this perpetual conflict that's happening in this family. And unfortunately, you try so much to fix until you realize that these people, it looks like they're always going at me. So the conflict keeps on amplifying instead of really going down. And I feel like it mostly speaks to our personalities and how we have been socialized and how we maintain a level of, I don't want to sound rude, but I would say a level of immaturity in terms of in the context that we don't grow this emotional aspect to either improve on relational intelligence or the capacity to criticism. So I feel like we are not growing in those aspects. We just want to be praised and what, but because sometimes we are families and know each other's weaknesses, when somebody touches that, that's when it explodes. But instead of talking about it, you just choose a distance most of the time. And personally, what I realize with families is that we don't talk much. We come and then, but most of the time we avoid issues. So I think that's the number one problem, and eventually it leads to cutting.
And what are these turbulent relations that we're talking about? I mentioned a couple of examples in the beginning. You might have a strained relationship with a father who's very critical of you, a sibling that you feel is jealous of you for whatever reason. And I suppose we may all vary on whether we think those are reasons or reason enough to become estranged, to cut a family member off. So what are these turbulent family relationships that may cause this ultimate estrangement?
Most of the time, what I realize is, number one, the critical one, where there are people who are so, it's a cliche, people always say people are toxic, but there are people that are so disruptive and they have not met self or worked on self. Therefore, because of that, everybody around them will suffer. And secondly, people are not wired and do not have the capacity, as I've said, to take in criticism. The third one, we keep on emoting, feeling whatever emotions that the situation is bringing, but we don't go back to say, okay, just because I'm emoting, I may feel what I feel, but how do we fix this? Can we not only remain in the emotional mind or the emoting aspect? Can we move beyond to say, yes, I'm feeling this, but can we solve this? Is this solvable? So that we go beyond the feeling, because I feel like most of the cutting comes because the feeling is so much and we don't go beyond. But most of the things, just maybe going into examples, even people, you find that you are always there for people, but when you need their help, they're not even there for you. Some of the people use people. You are at an ATM and nobody is there to fill your cup.
Yeah.
Especially within families. And that's when people tend to say, you know what, let me just remove myself. One of the things is, another issue could be obviously favoritism within families, to say my mother is always looking at this person, is not willing to solve. That's why people cut their mothers or their families off. The other one could be intergenerational family patterns that have never been resolved. Therefore, they keep on continuing and nobody's just coming to say, can we sit down and talk about it? Or even if we try, the emotions override us most of the time. So I guess that's why I'm going to hit it on too much to say everything will happen. We will feel what we feel, but can we sit through? Can we sit through and work on us internally to say, what am I feeling? And that's when now I'm leading us to more on relational intelligence and the capacity, which for me is the capacity to realize what I'm feeling, be aware of what I'm feeling, be aware of what Komotso is feeling as my sister, and in between that, we must ultimately solve whatever that is happening at that moment, therefore resonate. So the ultimate is to resonate instead of cut off for me with regards to the relational intelligence.
We're speaking to Kifilwe Mojapelo, a psychosocial well-being practitioner. I'm taking your calls. Have you found yourself in a place where the relationship got so turbulent with a family member that you decided to become estranged, or you found yourself being estranged for whatever reason? What led you to cutting ties? What led you to stepping back? And how did that work for you? The number to dial is 011 883 0702. Let's try that again. It's 011 883 0702. Alternatively, send me a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. We'd love to hear from you. Kifula, could it be perhaps that one of the reasons why it's so easy, or why people resort to doing the cutting off, is because they don't want to do the work that comes with being confrontational, that comes with the patience, that comes with trying again. You just don't want to do the work. It's too much work for you, and so you decide, I'm just going to step back because I don't want to put myself through this anymore.
Definitely, Komotso, well said. Most of the time, we don't want to sit through the confrontation because it's too much emotionally. And I'm saying it's too much in the context of we have not graduated, just going beyond it. So somebody finds it easy because they've worked on it, they've mastered that work, they've done the self-work. And then you sit through, you can do the self-work fine, and then you sit through on a person, say it's a family member who has not done that. So still, I'm encouraging that we sit through, confront what is happening, because that is the only trick that will help us go beyond. Otherwise, if we keep on trying and we leave it, it will continuously, this dysfunctionality continues. So the trick is to really do that work, sit, be confrontational. And when being confrontational, again, we need to apply this relational intelligence technique where you sit through while whatever person is speaking, find coping mechanism or emotional regulation techniques, because it's not like you'll not feel anything. You will feel, you'll be angered. Somebody will bring your past that you are not proud of or say something about you that really disturbs you, because we know each other's weaknesses. We are family, remember. Yeah. So you'll hit me where it hits, and then I'm emoting. I'm like, oof. And I don't want to sit through and take the moment and say, what do I, So I always say, what are we fighting for? Then what are we fighting about? For me, that is the bigger thing, to say we are here because we are family. We must work this out because we want to be okay. So let's let that goal come out more. Then comes to the secondary element of then what are we fighting about here? And then we are able to know when I did this. And that's where the wording, hence I'm saying relational intelligence, the technique comes with the wording. Be aware of how you speak. Do not just say, you do this, you do that. It's labeling. Go back and say, I feel like when you say this, this is what I feel when you say this. I don't know if I'm wrong, if I heard correctly, but when you said this, this is what it meant to me. Now you are being critical with words, which is the key to actually helping this person in front of you to realize what's happening so that they can self-correct. And even if they don't, then we can take it further to say, even if the person doesn't, believe you me, at some point the person will reflect. As long as you keep your cool, you regulate emotionally, and you keep on with that patience and tolerance, I think we will get somewhere eventually.
We'll be taking your calls and your WhatsApps when we come back from the break. I do see many of them coming in. We'll be going on and expounding really on issues around navigating turbulent family relationships without estrangement.
Each year, between 800 and 1,000 children in South Africa are diagnosed with cancer, leukemia being one of the most common. And for many, a stem cell donor is a possible cure. At DKMS Africa, we help finding matching stem cell donors for patients with blood disorders and cancers. So, this World Blood Cancer Month, register at dkmsafrica.org and help a patient find their match.
When it comes to growing investments, Truffle bends over backwards to make sure your assets move forward. For nearly 2 decades, Truffle Asset Management has delivered consistent outperformance for South African investors. With a proven long-term approach, your money keeps growing, even when markets get tough. While others chase quick wins, Truffle stays the course. Invest in the value of experience. Invest in a Truffle fund. Visit truffle.co.za.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water, Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
Hi, this is Michael Owen, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. Being a champion, I know the best performances come from making the right decisions on and off the pitch. Enjoy the game, enjoy the excitement, but play responsibly. Gambling responsibly is about staying in control so you can enjoy it your way. If you or someone you know needs support, help is always available. Call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counselling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
My name is Richard Sutton, and I'm the host of the podcast Shift Happens. This podcast is about you and the seasons of growth, change, and transformation that shape who you become. My guests are people who have walked long, difficult roads and along the way developed the tools and skills they needed not just to survive, but to thrive and make a real impact in the world. So if you're feeling stuck, uncertain, or searching for what's next, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Shift Happens. Now streaming on primemediaplus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
702.
Family Matters.
It's Family Matters on the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Clement Manyathela. I'm in for Clem this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm talking to Kifilwe Mojapelo, a psychosocial well-being practitioner, and we're talking about navigating turbulent family relations without estrangement. I see some of your WhatsApps coming in. Maybe let's take a voice note from Albert.
Good morning. Could your guest please help me as to how can I have a relationship with a son who is an alcoholic? George, Pretoria. Thank you.
That's George in Pretoria. Kifilwe, a difficult one. Relationship with a son who's an alcoholic.
Interesting. I'm wondering if he sat down with him and understand before just looking at the outwards behavior to say, why is this happening? Can we unpack it more to say, why is this happening? Is it pressure? Is it social pressure? Is it some escapism from an internal dialogue or from internal anxiety or anything that could be happening within that is making the son run to alcohol just to escape reality? So that would probably be the first thing. And it should be done in such a warm and a non-judgmental environment. And I know a father, we are always passionate and we want the best for our son, all good. But is he willing to go down on a human level and say, son, what's happening? Talk to me on a human level without, I can say, toning down on the authority that we normally have as parents because of this passion that we want what's best. Sometimes we come out too strong. So I would challenge him to really reach out to his son on a personal level. And if it doesn't work, can he then find professional help with him? That could be a family or a family therapy rather.
I suppose a big part of it really is accepting that even though you think you know what's best for the next person, your family member, especially when they're adults, you must accept that they might not go with what you think is best. And that's okay, right?
Correct.
All right, and let's take this WhatsApp. Someone saying, I had to cut off my mother after realizing that she doesn't want to see me happy. I've worked for everything I have, but all she wants to do is destroy me. You know, whenever I hear people speak about mothers, right, or parents, it escalates the matter quite a bit because the perception and what people think is you must want to maintain a relationship with your mother. What do you mean you don't have a relationship with your mother? But this is a perfect example of many where she's saying her mother does not want to see her succeed and she's had to cut ties.
And that's so sad because this person probably has tried everything. Honestly, you don't just arrive at a point where you're saying, I'm cutting. You are cutting because you've been trying and you are bent over and over again while you are trying. However, let's be more specific to that process of trying and ask, what have you not tried again? Have you tried professional help? Have you tried somebody who probably your mother is more inclined to listen to than anybody else? So all those resources, in terms of human resources, who have we called? Have we gone to for professional help? Because I realize our parents tend to, they tend to be broken and have not been taught to go on an emotional level and unpack what's happening within them. Therefore, they cannot even begin to understand what's happening with their children because there's a blockage. They're dissociated from their own feelings. Therefore, it's hard for them to expand their emotions to the next person, even if it's their children. Said like that.
Yep. I see another one, someone saying, my son is 21, turning 22 this year. I've done counseling with him, psychologists and psychiatrists since he was 13. I want to know if there is a legal process that I can follow as a mother to disown him. Oh, that's very sad.
Oh. I don't know of any to disown it. I don't know of any, and that's so sad. And you hear, or this person has tried everything. But more than that, I think sometimes I wouldn't encourage cutting. I would just say self-preserve, find coping mechanism and protective mechanisms against this person. However, open a door for them so that they know that you're always there for them whenever they are ready to solve the problem and come to you and solve things. I think like that of a parents, I think that's an expectation from us. And I understand the person who's 21, honestly, they must have come to a certain realization. But can we be kinder again? As at 21, they're still finding themselves, So it's a bit early. Can I push it and say it's a bit early to cut completely? But because you are wounded and hurt, just extend the open the heart to say, whenever you are ready, son, you know where to find me. I will love you, but I will love you from a distance. I'm not cutting you. I'm just self-preserving because you've hurt me so much. But you know when to find me when you are ready. Could that be considered as cutting? I don't know. What do you think? I don't think it's cutting.
It's interesting that you asked that because when I was thinking estrangement isn't always necessarily intentional. People become estranged sometimes because of the situation and the circumstance. But I think the question now is this estrangement permanent? Is it forever? Or is there a potential to reconcile, which I think many people don't necessarily consider. Once you decide you're cutting and estranging, the intention might be this is forever, which is heartbreaking.
Yes. True. And could we add on the estrangement to say and differentiate between protecting yourself and estrangement is I completely don't want to hear any from you. I'll block you. I'll do this. I will not go back home when it's December or when anything happens. That then is estrangement. However, could I encourage more as a nurturing professional, as a person who really wants to bring together families? Can we with time, after you've healed and worked on self and you really protected yourself against this person, can the recommendation be to send them on a birthday, just remind them that you love them, even if it's from a distance, especially if it's this kind of mother and daughter relationships, because you want a person to think even in your absence. So that's more what I would advocate for, to say while you are estranged, can we just throw something for somebody to ponder on in your absence? Because actually that's what we want, more than being estranged. An estrangement is a product of what did not work and you are choosing to remove yourself. But actually what you want this person to reflect. You want the relationship to work, but it's not working. Therefore, you are walking away. So sometimes I do that. I say, if I give you a prayer, I breathe away from you. At a certain point, I'll send you a beautiful message that you would remember that I still love you, but I'm there and you are there, but it doesn't mean I hate you. So because until you find yourself and you meet self and you work on certain aspects that make you be where you are, you know where to find me. Could that be? And that can only happen after we've spoken and confronted each other. And in such a warm environment where I will tell you what I don't like and you tell me what I don't like. Now that is the capacity to take it, and your tolerance, and you are confrontational. You are not aggressive, you're confrontational, and you're still assertive. I'm going to communicate my boundaries with you, and I'll let you know if I'm going to walk away. This is what I do not like. This is what I'm removing myself from. That is more, you're making a person aware, because my problem is dissociating and you're not aware.
Yeah.
And I'm always speak on three things: being conscious, being deliberate, being intentional. So let's keep that in mind. I see it's 11:30, but let's keep that in mind.
I want to put out a call just before we go to the news headlines. Any people that might know about legal processes, because the anonymous here was asking about a legal process that one can follow as a mother to disown their son. The son is turning 22 this year. Anyone who might know about that legally, get in touch with us, 011-883-0702. Mikey Malapa was standing by with the news headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good morning. We begin in the courts where the investigating officer in the Brown Mokhotsi case has accused the self-proclaimed political fixer of trying to bribe him. Mokhotsi is currently appearing before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court for his formal bail application. He's charged with several counts of perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of firearm, ammunition, and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. A Pretoria-based NGO says the Social Development Department has left staff without salaries, transport fare, and even airtime, leaving children in need of care helpless. The organization, which works in child protection, HIV/AIDS, and mental health, says it fears victimization but wants to ring the alarm over a 2-month payment backlog. And in the Western Cape, South Africa's citrus industry has further expanded its market access into China following a new phytosanitary agreement. Western Cape Agricultural MEC Ivan Meyer says the new export agreement is set to ease strict health and safety for shipping citrus. Meyer says it will boost job creation as the province supplies 20% of all citrus production. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 North, we've got a slight backup just as you approach New Road, while on the N1 South heading towards Rand Park Ridge, we still have got queuing traffic. This is between Malibongwe Drive and There's Nodia Drive. That's due to a major accident scene. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. While traveling on the M2 West, traffic remains very slow between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. This is as you head towards Amalgam, so please be on the lookout there and approach with care. You can also use the M1 South through Boysons if you want to avoid the backlog. Traveling in Eldorado Park, we've got some issues on the N12 West. That's due to roadworks that are taking place right near Klipspit Valley Road. Do expect delays there. There's also roadworks along the Golden Highway. This is between Union Avenue and East Street. Also approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today. What happened on the JSE? What's happening overseas? All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people, on Sunday, the 26th of July, Babize bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. You then finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 5-kilometer, the 8-kilometer or 15-kilometer, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Get the hottest 100-buck deals this week at Food Lovers Market. Buy 2 500-gram packs of ground beef for only 100 Rand. A 7-kilogram potato pocket and a butternut pocket for a low 100 Rand per combo. And any 7 500-gram bags of Fatties and Moni's pasta for just 100 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 31 May only at Food Lovers Market. It's in the experience.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Calling all aspiring radio stars. This June, 7:02 afternoons with Lebohile Maboja is bringing back Youth Takeover Thursdays. If you or someone you know dreams of being on air as a talk show host, newsreader, traffic reporter, or sports presenter, we want to hear from you. A select few will shadow the team, go live on 7:02 and walk away with a professional demo. Email 702afternoons@702.co.za with your details, the role, a short motivation, and a 1-minute demo. Applications close on the 29th of May.
702.
Family Matters.
Welcome back. It's Family Matters right here on the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for Clem this morning. We're speaking about navigating turbulent family relationships without estrangement. And my guest is Kefulo Mojapelo, a psychosocial well-being practitioner, talking us through this really difficult and sensitive topic. I do see many of you sending WhatsApps, and I know that some of you have asked to be anonymous because of the sensitivity of the matter. So we understand and respect that. I wonder whether there are instances that warrant a complete cutting off, a complete estrangement, where you go ahead and you go forward and you don't look back for whatever reason.
There are. I remember one particular case, particularly when it includes sexual offenses and the likes. So I remember one particular case where the person was not arrested, but the mother, the stepfather, violated the mother's child. And then there was no conclusive evidence and all that, and the case, we could not be prosecuted. So whatever happened fine, but that then is a cut off. And some even, I remember, let's make it even worse and bring closer to family, brothers and sisters. Sometimes the worst story, a client, this particular person A, let's take a case study, person A is a brother to this person, and that time they are intoxicated, they've used substances, and they get into the house, they now want to, I can say, attempted rape with the sister. And you wonder, where was your mind at that time? And then the parents were devastated. And now you are torn out choosing between your son and your daughter, because now, but you cannot definitely keep them both in one house after what happened.
Yeah.
So those kind of instances where it gets so bad and you're like, son, stay there. I don't want you, and then, yeah. So it's warranted, I guess, sometimes. Unfortunately, I can push so much and say, no, we must do this, we must come together. But there comes a point where you realize somebody's pain, or this person is so broken. And this other instance where the son has stolen so much from the mother. And when you've taken your child to school, you've done everything, you've denied yourself things, and this person keeps on being a consistent disappointment to you.
Yeah.
To a point where the depression, and you're like, now I'm really cutting off. I don't want anything to do with my son. So I've had such instances even.
And I mean, sometimes I do think that there's room for boundaries instead. How can we go about creating those boundaries and setting up those boundaries without complete estrangement?
And a beautiful question, Khomozo, because sometimes we have not established those boundaries. We have not spoken and became proactive enough, so other than reactive. Because sometimes we haven't set out systems that helps us manage our relationship in our homes. Therefore, once something is violated, you are quick to emote and react without looking back and say, but I was not proactive, and then correcting. Instead, you cut instead, but you don't acknowledge that, but I did not set up measures. So key, we must establish those boundaries. We must be aware. We must be intentional in these things to say, this is how I want a relationship with you, my 8-year-old son or daughter or niece. Sit down with that person. Be very proactive. Be clear. Be as concise as you can. Then from there, you are now creating boundaries to say, this. Once you violate this, these are the consequences. And then a person now with a memorandum, now you've given them a memorandum to say, this is how I want to be treated. You can tell me how you want to be treated. Now we can contract on this. And then this is how we are going to do life. If anything comes in between the violation, we can still say, this is how we're going to resolve it. Instead of saying we are going to cut off. Let's set up, again, disciplinary measures. Normally, I like to say, if we run our families and our relationships like companies are ran, where there's a second warning, first warning, second and third, before the dismissal, and even before the dismissal, the disciplinary process. So I think that is very critical that we set those measures before we cut.
We're speaking about navigating turbulent family relationships without estrangement. I want to invite you to give us a call. We want to hear your stories. If you are in that situation where you've had to cut a family member off because of turbulent relationships, or if you want to reconcile for whatever reason and you had become estranged, get in touch with us. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. On the WhatsApp line, someone saying, Mozo, my brother and his family, whenever they're in disagreement, they summon the entire family in their turmoil. But when they reconcile, everyone but them sits with the injuries of the fight. It has ruptured our family so much. So I've cut them off. I miss my relationship with my brother and I see how it hurts our mother, but I could not do it anymore.
So I wish there was one person who would make them aware. And you know, sometimes we need just to push it a little in terms of tolerance, especially with family members, because yes, you put us together. And the sad part is that one thing, as systems theory, one family relationship either break out or fall out affects the entire system.
Yeah.
And I don't think these people who are perpetrators see that. So I wished, at least if it's not a mother, someone in the family could have the tolerance to say, bring us together. Are you reconciling? Bring us together. Even at that time when you're seeing, oh, we are here, Lautwana, now you're okay. And then you call a family, right there, you assemble everybody to say, let's get on a call. How did you reconcile? Are we okay? So that all of us walk away okay. Because these people are they don't realize we're affecting all of us. They're not able to see the bigger picture of the whole family system. They just see themselves as they don't realize other parts of the system that are affected by their fallouts or they're coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, you know, the brother could be taking advantage that no, the family will side with him, right, for whatever reason. But it creates such a horrible experience and environment for the rest of the family. So yeah, I suppose this is one of the instances where you know, what we're talking about cutting the people off or having to cut them off because this is an extreme situation. Now, someone else here says, I've disowned my father late last year after I found that he was the reason why my younger siblings have no respect for me as the eldest brother. He's been bad-mouthing me for years as because he felt threatened by my job and the fact that I married into a different culture. This is until death. So this person saying they've done this, it's a final cutting off. And I don't know, is this the type of situation where he could speak to his father, sit down with the father and say, stop bad-mouthing me?
Indeed, we don't hear the story to say that the person sit and say, stop bad-mouthing me. But it's so sad because maybe sometimes there are people who are not able to listen, and especially to a child telling me what to do and what not to do. So in terms of that, it tends to be difficult to break the wall and help arrive, you know, when you meet the person at their level where they are at, because they've clearly created a boundary. When you are below me, you are my child, you cannot tell me anything. Even when we grow up, parents don't realize, oh, no, but we are here now, we can talk like adults because I'm an adult. Yes, I'm your child, but I'm an adult child, you know. So they don't necessarily acknowledge that, so that we can now talk as human beings on a human level. I can tell you where you've messed things up for me, and understand why you're doing this. But I guess, like I said, sometimes certain people have not met themselves.
Yeah.
Now it's hard for you to get to that level with them when they're not willing to realize, oh, I'm also wrong, and accept they are wrong because they are not wired that way.
I do see a voice note, and we're going to take it in just a bit. I want to take this message. Someone saying, this is triggering. I've tried to sort out sibling rivalry for years to no avail. I've always come away being screamed at, and the reasons for the offense is something that happened almost 50 years ago. However, it was never mentioned before. I decided to forgive and step away for my own sanity. It's not the best for the family as a whole, though, and that's from Nani. You know, I find that interesting because she's saying she has forgiven them. So the stepping away is not that she's harboring anger or bitterness. She's saying, I forgive you. I've tried, it hasn't worked, and I'm going to step away for my own sanity, which is very different from what we have been describing so far.
Correct. And that is that even okay, estrangement and cutting away and you don't get involved. Okay. But I'm interested on now when you do that, how sustainable is that in terms of our children when we are getting estranged and cut off like that? And what then happens? Am I really cutting away, or I can come back while still maintaining that forgiveness and letting go and releasing them from my spirit and say, I'm letting them go? I feel like that's so big, and I love that approach. But sometimes I would still say keep the minimal interaction, especially when there's gatherings and other things, and then you remove yourself quickly, but you're not estranged necessarily because you acknowledge, oh, I want to, they're my family. And I think the worst thing for me is always, let's go back to the end of life to say, if they were not there, would you still maintain your decision? If it's a yes, then okay, you're good, it's fine. But if you're going to regret, then go back and work it out. But I love the fact that she's saying, can I walk away with the me that I want? Instead of always walk away with the me that I don't want because of these people.
Yeah. I like this alternative that you're presenting, that one can manage how much time they spend there, you know, how they go about engaging and pull out whenever they feel things are escalating. And I think that it's a great alternative that, you know, I'm still here, I'm still part of the family, but I'm protecting myself, that I will not allow myself to be drawn into this once things get out of hand. I want to read a message from someone who says, the lady who wants to disown her 21-year-old child, the solution lies in the Domestic Violence Act. Clearly, the child is being abusive in some way. She can get an order that he cannot contact or communicate with her. And that's from Kevin, who is an attorney. Thank you so much for that, Kevin. Maybe let's take a voice note.
Good morning, Komoto. You know, cutting off, as a Christian, let me speak for myself. I am a Christian. I don't believe in cutting off family members. But my younger brother, he is so toxic. I have decided to cut him off. He is 27 years old, but he is behaving like a teenager. A 27-year-old behaving like a young child. He does not respect his mother. He does not respect me as his older brother. He respects no one in the house. So it takes a lot for a person to cut off someone in the family. It has come to a point where he has stabbed me twice. He has damaged my, where we got into a fight, and he damaged my occipital area in the brain. So I'm just thankful that I'm still kicking well and alive, but I've just cut him off because of his behavior.
Yeah, that sounds like a difficult one, and I suppose it's one of those that you were describing, right? With the situation becomes so extreme.
Correct. Especially when there's domestic violence. Now it's my life is threatened. I cannot keep anything when my life is threatened. I'm definitely gonna flee.
No, I wish you so much peace when it comes to that. It sounds like a horrible situation to be in. I'm also interested in whether that person, your brother, has a substance abuse problem, and if that might be at the heart of what's going on there. Let's go to some of the calls. Jane, you're in Rudderport. Thank you so much for your call. Good morning.
I don't know what the presenter's name is. I know you're taking over from someone else. What's your name is?
Jane, we're really struggling to hear you. Your line is very muffled.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. What I want to speak about is something that's very pertinent in South Africa at the moment. You know, I seem to see that it's very fashionable for girls to have babies out of marriage, before they're married. And this happened in my family, where somebody in my family had 2 babies, without being married. And of course, the granny brought up the children. And what usually happens is that at some stage, the girl, the mommy of the babies says, okay, that's it. Now we can move out of the house, and they take the babies away from the granny, which causes terrible trauma for the granny. And that breaks the relationship between the granny and the daughter, because now the daughter's taken her children and gone. And this happened in my case. In many years, there was a terrible rift. And what healed the rift was when the daughter realized you cannot survive without your mother. In today's times, you need the financial and emotional support of your parents, because life is very hard in today's world. And she contacted me and she said, look, please, I really do need you. And that healed it immediately. And now I give her all the support, so much support, actually all the support I possibly can, because today's world is not the world that I brought my children up in.
Yeah.
I brought up children alone.
And Jane, I'm interested in how long it took, because I'm very glad that there's been reconciliation for you.
Years.
How long did it take for you to reconcile?
I would say at least 5 years of total silence.
Sure.
I was so angry, because what happens, the kids were removed from my home, and there was no visits. There was no, we come to visit. No, nothing, never. Never visiting. I didn't see them. And, it was her sort of attempt at independence, which caused a lot of trauma to me. But now everything's fine. I mean, I just, financially I'm supporting them in all ways that I can, because I know that I brought kids up on my own. A single mom, I brought up 4 kids.
Yeah.
But the world today is totally different from it was when I brought my kids.
Yeah, thank you so much for your call. That's Jane in Rudderport. I suppose, Kifile, I love that they were able to reconcile. But, what Jane introduces here is the fact that maybe sometimes it's okay to wait it out and allow the time to do the healing, so to speak.
Correct. But then the absence of that could also be, could be dangerous, could also be helpful. But what I'm interested in that absence, how are you taking everything? What are you going through? My grandchildren are gone, that I raised, because somebody just decided to up and leave. Yes, they are her children, but but anyway, normally that we normally set out we are guided by the Children's Act in terms of Section 22 of the Children's Act 38 of 2005 to mediate and say, I want my children.
Yeah.
And normally we would then investigate and then to say, this child is entitled to having a relationship with their grandmother because of the nature of this relationship. Because you cannot decide, I've got a relationship with my grandchild, because you just went up and decide like that. But at the same time, like she's saying, now you also don't want to exacerbate the matter by going through the court process. But for the children's sake, that could have been an avenue that is explored. However, in between of them, it's like you said, sometimes it's recommended to just breathe it out.
All right, Adisi, we've got more voice notes also coming in. Let's take one of those.
Yes, good morning. I have one of those relationships. My mother seems to have forgotten exactly what went on in our past as children. My father was abusive, but also she knew or must have known that he was fiddling with me. The difference is she won't accept and cannot say she says sorry, but she didn't know. I just can't forgive her. My sisters don't talk to her. My brothers were sort of also in it, but I'm the only one that stuck around because I feel sorry for her. And by being sorry for her, I keep in touch with her, which I don't want to. I'm happy when I don't. And when I do speak to her, it's always a fight. Yeah, it's just a terrible way to deal with somebody. Anyway, anonymous.
Kifile, is it worth maintaining such a relationship where she clearly says she doesn't want to? She does it because she feels sorry for her, but she actually doesn't want to. And things deteriorate and get chaotic whenever she does. It's always a fight. is it worth maintaining that relationship, or would estrangement be best then?
It's not even sustainable. So it's walking away from it and just making sure that while you walk away, you at least heal. And okay, you walk away with the you that you want. That is ideal, because you can't just stay because you are forced by biological bonds to the person. It's not sustainable, and you'll keep on feeling the that's why actually it's not working, because you are there because you feel sorry for somebody, and sometimes walk away so that they feel sorry for themselves, so that they can then come and apologize and not just say sorry, but really account and come to a tone and say, I really take responsibility for aggravating you this way and stepping over your boundaries and doing 1, 2, 3. Somebody must confess that to their mouth. And I'm not the priest, but I will say they must do that, so that we are then clearing the way to say they are taking accountability. That is the act of accounting. Once you account, then we can clear the way and we can be good. But when somebody doesn't account, it's so impossible to come together and really tolerate and just be. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. I want to take this last WhatsApp message. Someone saying, I have an elder brother who hates me for being myself. I know I've made mistakes to hurt myself, but I've grown and matured enough. Every time I ask for advice from him, he keeps reminding me of my past mistakes, and I feel uncomfortable being with him. Please help. I've moved on and I still love him, but I can't involve him in anything in my life. And I think also this is an example of someone who realizes that this relationship is hurting him more, and maybe it's not worth staying in it, at least for now.
Definitely. But I wonder, before resorting to the estrangement or just walking away from it, did you sit down and really apply effective communication around it, so that you're like, okay, what is happening? Make him aware. And then at least you leave him with something. Can I advocate for that, to say, if you're going to be estranged, sit, and because allow the emotions not to override you, because you've already decided I'm walking away. But in your absence, let this person reflect, give them something to say, this is what you've done, reflect. Nobody wants to be reminded of their weaknesses and their downfalls. And I've changed. And today I'm an autonomous being. I'm here. Can you acknowledge that? Can you accept that? Because family members take to treat us as we were then in the past. You don't need to remind me. I know my mistake and I've owned up to them. So please accept that. I've accepted that. So it's so sad when you're always reminded of your past, which is very different from your reality currently.
Oh, beautiful insights there from Kifile Mojapelo, a psychosocial well-being practitioner. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Kgomoso, for having me.
Johannesburg Water advises residents of planned maintenance by bulk supplier Rand Water from 29th May to 2nd June and again on the 17th July as part of its annual winter maintenance program. During these periods, Johannesburg water systems may experience low water pressure or no supply. Residents are urged to store water in advance and avoid last-minute storage, which can strain the system. Affected areas include Sandton, Midrand, Randburg, Roodepoort, Soweto, Lenasia, Orange Farm and surrounding suburbs. Updates will be shared via Johannesburg Water and City of Johannesburg platforms. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water.
Mzansi Ballet proudly presents Heal the World, an inspiring new ballet set to the iconic music of global legend Michael Jackson. Choreographed by South African prima ballerina and award-winning choreographer Angela Revi in collaboration with renowned Mexican guest dancer and choreographer George Wade. This powerful production celebrates dance as a force for connection, healing, and transformation. It tells a deeply human and emotionally charged story of resilience and self-discovery. Heal the World runs from the 13th of May to the 7th of June at the Peter Torin Theatre in Monte Cassino. Get your tickets now through web tickets.
At Dis-Chem, we are bringing you better health this winter and helping you save even more. Swipe your Better Rewards card and save 80 Rand when you buy 2 Linctagon C effervescent tablets and buy Tib Septogard 120 tablets for only 269 Rand 99. Save 105 Rand. Look out for the yellow label to shop Better Rewards brands in-store and online and get 10% off instantly on top of the promo price. Offers valid until 14 June at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Mandy Wiener is in studio. Good morning, champ.
Morning.
Champ. I like it. Thank you very much.
How was your weekend?
It was great. I watched a lot of sport.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And you were very, very happy, I'm sure.
I went to the Kingsmead Book Fair. So
oh, yes. That looked
It was great.
amazing.
Yeah, it was lovely. Beautiful day out.
What's coming up on the show?
So we'll talk about Pirates. We'll talk about Sundowns. We'll talk about Spurs. Maybe we'll talk about news as well. The Justice Cluster ministers are holding an urgent meeting to deal with protests against illegal immigration. Also, it's Africa Day today, so we're seeing pickets advocating for migrants' rights. Brian Mokgotsi is applying for bail in the Kruger Park, increasing security following the murder of tourists there. So all of that, but of course, lots of sport too.
All right, that's the Midday Report with Mandy Weena from 12 to 1. This does bring us to the end of the Monday installment of the Clement Manyathela Show. But before I go, I must say thank you to all of you for your WhatsApps. Thank you so much for your interaction over the last couple of days. It's been absolutely amazing being here with you. Clement Manyathela is back tomorrow. For now, though, it's time for Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. We begin in the courts where the investigating officer in the Brown Mokgotsi case has accused the political fixer of trying to bribe him. Mokgotsi is currently appearing before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court for his formal bail application. He's charged with several counts of perjury, defeating the ends of justice, unlawful possession of firearm, ammunition, and the discharging of a firearm in a public space. The charges relate to an assassination attempt on his life in Vosloorus last November, which the state is alleging Mokgotsi faked. State Prosecutor Tammy Mpekane read into the record the investigating officer's affidavit.
As I was about to leave the cells, the applicant approached me. He made a comment relating to bail. His words were, open quote, "Is there something that I can do for you not to oppose my bail," close quote. I immediately took offense as it was said to me in a context that I understand it to be an attempt to offer a bribe not to oppose his bail.
3 men have been sentenced to at least 20 years each for the murders of a police officer and a state witness. Off-duty cop Sakumzi Mbukele was killed during a hijacking in 2021. The trio was offered 20,000 rand for his stolen vehicle. They later killed state witness Spongiseni Yanta after learning he was set to testify in the officer's murder case. NPA spokesperson Eric Ndabazalila.
The Western Cape High Court sentenced 40-year-old Luzuko Yalezo to an effective 28 days direct imprisonment. His co-accused, Mzuki Sinteta and Atinkosi Kolanisi, were convicted on charges of murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances. Sinteta was sentenced to 25 years direct imprisonment. Kolanisi received 20 years direct imprisonment.
A Pretoria-based NGO says the Social Development Department has left staff without salaries, transport fare and even airtime, leaving children in need of care helpless. The organization, which works in child protection, HIV/AIDS and mental health, says it fears victimization but wants to ring the alarm over a 2-month payment backlog. Jabuli Lembata has more.
The NGO operates across Pretoria and surrounding areas through 3 sections: social work, HIV and AIDS, and workshop programs. But the social work program, with 25 staff, has not received funding